Well, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on where you are. No introduction and no countdown today, because as you can see, Tom isn't here. But that's okay. Maybe he'll join us later. And until then, I'm not on my own. I am here with the great Kamran Pasha.
Good morning, Andre. As I've said before, and I'll say it again, you're the only person I would wake up at 9 a.m. for a video call. So it's so great to see you.
Well, thank you for that. Really, really appreciate you joining us. That is awesome. And speaking of joining us, we have many others joining us in the live chat as well. Nighthawk9 agrees with you. That is way too early in the morning, evidently. Tater Squad says, "Hail Kamran." I absolutely stand behind that. And we have your Muslim uncle is here, who says, "Hail to Natasha, our trusted wrench, who is here." Not in the morning, but, but yeah, there you go. We have, Script Doctor is here. So yeah, thanks for joining. I'll send the link to you if you are available. And of course, we have who sends $4.99 super chat. And Darius Münchhausen also sends a super sticker. Parrothead says, "Hail all," and we have Prince Andrew here, so that's excellent.
The original, the one and only.
The collection, yeah. And Wintrell says, on behalf of everyone, for $10, Kamran, we have missed you so much. And yes, I agree. We also miss Kamran in every single live show where he is not present. So it's absolutely.
I've missed all of you. I've missed Twitter. I've missed posting beautiful ladies to Twitter. But I guess so. Some things have to come to an end.
Yeah. Well, and if things first have to come to an end, there are plenty worse things to come to an end than Twitter. So I'm glad to hear that you haven't missed it too much. If anything, I would imagine that you probably are better off without it, honestly, for just mental health.
Yeah, it's as it's an addictive thing. It's largely a waste of time. Once you're off of it, you really realize how much time you waste on social media. And there's a lot of destructive conversations. Certainly, I've allowed myself to get into a lot of destructive conversations with people. And so now they don't want me around, it's freed me up to do actual work and reading again. And I love books and having more time in my life. So it's nice.
Yeah. And speaking of more time in your life, Tom has had the time to join us. Good morning, Tom.
Morning.
And Stephanie, Sex Smugglers Cantina.
Good to see you, Stephanie.
Kamran, the logical heartbeat of the fandom.
I will take it. I will take it from a very smart woman. Thank you very much.
Indeed. So, Tom, how are things?
You want the truth or you want to lie?
Okay, fine. I redact the question.
Well, I like to say
I like turtles.
All right, he likes turtles. Well, I like to say society is basically mutually agreed upon lies. We all know we're lying to each other. We all know the other person's lying to us, but we all have to play along to get along. So society is mutually agreed upon lies.
Hopefully, some of our toxic femmes will be by though soon, so that will
that will wake me up. That will wake me up out of my 9 a.m. stupor. And it's freezing in Los Angeles. I'm wearing my heavy, reference to my alma mater, Dartmouth, my heavy Dartmouth sweatshirt. Now, this is the kind of thing that Dartmouth is in New Hampshire, which is a very cold place, and so this is the kind of thing that will keep me warm in New Hampshire. And I'm wearing it because LA is absolutely freezing this morning.
So, in other words, it's like 75 degrees there.
No, I wish we don't do 75. Oh my God, I miss those days. And so, yes, no, it's not exactly that. And you're like, okay, I didn't move to LA for weather. I didn't move to LA for everyone to be locked down. I didn't move to LA for the whole city to be depressed and crazy. So it's an interesting place.
I hear you. But good morning, gentlemen. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, indeed.
We got 700 people following. I think that's pretty nice. 700 people watching this video.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So everyone, please be sure to share that link. And as Max says, good day all. Hail chat, hail mods, hail Midnight's Edge. Well, hail Max and everyone else. And Tasmanta says you've been liberated from Twitter. Oh, and Nerd Cookies also chimes in. I recently watched Tron Uprising. Bravo, Kamran.
I'm glad you like it. I'm very proud of it. It's interesting. That show, it came and went, and then 10 years later, now it's on Disney Plus, and it's getting a second life.
Amazing. So glad to hear that. Do you think there's any chance that that could lead to more interest in a Tron movie?
I mean, I think with time it will, because people are thinking about Tron again. They haven't thought about it in a decade.
I think you forgot we already got one coming from Jared Leto, but
but no, I mean, I haven't forgotten that.
Well, not you, him. I mean,
but there's been talk about it. There's been talk about this thing with Jared. Who knows when?
Yeah, there's been talk, but who the hell knows if it's going to happen? That's like the thing. That's not announced in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
actually, I think it was announced through the production company of Daft Punk before they broke up. That's what I said. I wonder if that's going to affect that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that Daft Punk was the make it or break it of that. I think it's ultimately it's just going to be whether Disney can figure out how to monetize this property again, and more people watching. What we did on Tron Uprising will make them wake up. I mean, but I'm out. Like I said, I shut down Disney Plus the moment they let Gina Carano go. So whatever happens to them, God bless them. I'm out. So.
Yeah, and we will get into all of the repercussions of that. Before that, we're also joined by the good Reverend Hari Krishna, a.k.a. Rob. How's it going, Rob?
Oh, fantastic. Cameron, I didn't know you went to Dartmouth. I mean,
I went to Dartmouth. I went there not just for undergraduate. I went there for undergraduate. I also went back there to get my MBA from the Tuck School of Business there. So
I know it's changed quite a bit, but I always I'd like to point out Animal House is actually based on Dartmouth in the 60s. Cool. And the guy who was dean of president, I can't remember which one, he said, young men learn to be responsible by being irresponsible. Words I try to live by. So
yeah, well, that certainly, it's interesting because Dartmouth's always had this internal struggle between that part of its legacy and its effort to be sort of the snooty, polite Ivy League. And I'm actually very glad for that. But even though I myself was never involved in the fraternity scene or drink, I'm very glad for that rebellious part of the college's nature. It makes it distinct from some of the more effete and elite kind of places.
I have to ask you, did you ever get down to my, because I'm from New England area, did you ever get down to my neck of the woods for any Pepe's Pizza in the past or not?
Where is your neck of the woods specifically? When you say
specifically, you know where Yale University is?
Yes, I do know where Yale University is.
Right there.
I've never been to New Haven, and
okay.
But if you ever come up to Hanover, which is where Dartmouth is absolutely one of the most beautiful places on the face of the earth. It's just middle of the valley, upper valley there, and it's just stunning. Yes, I
imagine. Yeah, I always tell people who says, "Oh, tell me, what is there to do in New Haven?" Yeah, turn around and go back. So that's oh, okay. Well, good to see you here, though. I'm sorry I disappoint you. There's more testosterone on the panel. None of the lovely ladies.
Yeah, I know. I guess my reputation precedes me, but eventually, I'm sure some lovely lady will come, and then all the attention will go to her, which is the way it should be.
Yeah,
indeed. And before we start on the main topics, Tiberius Monk says, Kamran is back with the Midnighters. Midnight's Kamran's Edge returns. Wahoo! Also, Tom is dropping them beats, I see. Hail Midnighters. Yeah, this is true. Tom dropped a song over at Midnight's Edge After Dark. It's actually really cool. So go check that out.
Were you
actually listen to it?
Yeah, I did. I did. And it was good. My wifey enjoyed it too.
She did.
Fractal Jack wants to know, Tom, did you get into another fight with your TV?
No, and God forbid I ever get into a fight with this one because it's too big. It'll win.
I love what Jeff Fox where they said if you fight with your stuff, you lose anyway because then you have to go out and replace your stuff that you fought with.
And also, Caviteno Cavalry Trooper Che says, reminds me that today is St. Patrick's Day. So happy
and I'm
St.
wearing
Patrick's
green.
Day.
I didn't even
It
realize
is.
that. Yeah, happy St. Patrick's
It's
Day.
Irish
To
Day.
everyone of Irish descent, such as Tom. So happy birthday, I guess.
You know what St. Patrick's Day means to me this year. I have to pay my credit card bill because that's when it's due. That's all it means. Oh, great! I can't even go out for a beer. Great, thanks a lot.
There you go. And before we move on with the main topic of today, which of course is going to be Forbes. And that Forbes magazine. So this is like no small blog or anything like that. This is what Disney shareholders and Disney majority owners read, are calling Disney out for their mismanagement over the whole Gina Carano situation. So we're going to dig into that. We're going to dig into all related matters. I'm sure we're going to get a little bit into the Snyder Cut situation. And then we'll see what else happens. So good times. But before then, I just want to go through the super chats that I can no longer bring up on screen. The very first ones that sent in today that I haven't gotten to just yet. There are more, but we'll get to all of them eventually. Bruce Campbell was in Congo. Start us off for $5, saying, I wonder just how bad it has to become at Disney before the major investors finally run out of patience and demand an accounting. Hold that thought, because we're going to get into all of that later. Tobias the Wolf says for $7 Australian dollars 99, I'd pay good money to see an epic war drama starring Bill Burr about Mayfield losing his rooms in Burnin' Con, directed by Nolan and music by Zimmer. That actually doesn't sound too bad. And BK0271 says for $5 Canadian dollars, the cancellation of Bear Grylls Gina episode ties the Disney executives to the bullying of Gina. Disney can't say it's an internal Lucasfilm issue. Again, hold that thought, because we will be getting into that, I assure you. And Log Nods 1 says for 50 krona, I bet Tom is negotiating his record deal. So yeah, more people listen to your song. I think that was a hit, Tom. And just before you came on, and just before you came on, Stephen Otten said, "Wait, Tom isn't here? This is an outrage. I'm out." Just kidding. Hail Andre, Kamran, Wrenches, and everyone in the chat. And the importer sends $5 Canadian saying, some coins for our new pop star, Tom. So yeah, that song evidently went around.
I need to put a cowboy hat on. I need to put a cowboy hat on my picture here. Yeah, I'm Colonel Rob Parker. I'm here representing Tom Connors.
well, Tom's now officially busking online. People are dropping him money. That's great.
That's awesome. I already got a problem being wanting to do a remix, so we'll see how that works out here.
Yeah, good stuff. But in any event, we have more super chats. We're going to go through every single one of them before we get to the end. But let's start getting into the main topic of today. And I think that we can begin with this article from not the Hollywood Reporter. That's just Habit of Force. This is even worse because it's from Forbes.
Yeah.
And Forbes is higher up than the Hollywood Reporter because it's not just for the industry. It's basically a newspaper for billionaires and investors in everything, including Disney and Hollywood and what have you. So we're going to see if we can bring it up on screen. Tom, I'm going to send it into the private chat. Can you bring it up on screen?
The Forbes article, yeah.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Well, who was it that said? I can't remember. When you piss off I'm paraphrasing. When you piss off the fans, nobody notices. When you piss off the money people, that's when people start to notice. So,
and that's the way the world works. That's the way the world always works.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that is kind of what is happening here. So as soon as we get it up on screen, I'm going to start us off by reading some key phrases here. Yes, here we go. So Disney's firing of Gina Carano is confusing and hypocritical, lacking sound management. That is the headline. The headline of Forbes magazine is using the words Disney firing Gina Carano, confusing, hypocritical, lacking sound management, all in one headline. That has got to be the most damning headline against Disney from a major publication of importance I have ever seen. I don't think I've ever seen anything worse, because everything else where you had like that is like a movie bombing like John Carter or something. But this is a direct attack on their management. And that is pretty stunning. And then moving on here, because here they then say in the article, it reads, the latest example is Disney's firing of Gina Carano from The Mandalorian in February. She is a conservative who is not shy about expressing her views. The latest being a comment that compared conservatives being silenced and cancelled today to Jews being targeted during the Hollow thing back in Germany in the 40s. An exaggerated comparison? Yes. But enough to fire her? Doubtful. She's more guilty of a bad comparison. Gina should have likened today's conservative cancel culture to the 1950s congressional hearings held to expose entertainment people who were members or sympathizers of the Communist Party. 10 influential actors and screenwriters were eventually jailed and blacklisted by the major movie studios for denouncing the hearings and refusing to name those who had expressed communist sympathies. That's a better comparative. Ironically, when Disney fired Gina for her opinions, it inadvertently proved her point. And then the article moves on. We'll take all of this apart momentarily, but then it gets really bad. And then it says, to begin, the company's approach is confusing. Many assert that Pedro Pascal, star of The Mandalorian, offered similar analogies that Carano did, though with a liberal bent, when he shared a now-deleted Instagram post comparing, the Orange Man to Yahtzees. Or actually, it was the Orange Man's voters to Yahtzees. Pascal kept his job. Carano did not. Disney's inconsistent approach led outsiders to suspect that Disney leans left, something that Disney CEO Bob Chapek denied at the recent shareholders meeting. Then they go through what he said there, but then he continues. But management cannot afford to treat employees differently for similar actions. It makes Chapek's comments appear disingenuous. The company needs a universally consistent approach for its universal values. So they just painted Bob Chapek as disingenuous. It gets worse. Disney's actions also appear hypocritical. At the same shareholders meeting, Bob Chapek went on to say that Disney believes in values of respect, values of decency, values of integrity, and values of inclusion. And then he carried on with more of that high-flung stuff. And then Forbes comments, that's a noble goal, well said. But while Disney shapes and declares these aspirations for US consumption, it turned a blind eye to China when the company shot Mulan in the same Chinese province where the government forced millions of Uyghur Muslims into internment camps. Disney went on to thank several government bodies in the film's credits. This signals that human rights and social responsibility are fine as long as they do not cost Disney any money in important markets. Disney never had an adequate response. I do not think I have ever seen Disney be put on blast quite this way. Kamran, I know that you have read this article. Let's take it apart, piece by piece. What's your first thoughts on this? Just the headline.
Well, first thought is that this is, it's interesting the timing of it coming out, because the Gina Carano being let go drama was about 3 or 4 weeks ago, right? And in media time in the modern day, that's decades ago. The average person isn't talking about it anymore. They were talking about it for about a week afterwards, and she was on, various shows with Shapiro, etc., talking about it, and then life went on. So it's very interesting that about a month later, and a couple of weeks after this investor call, suddenly this pops up, right? And so to me, this isn't an arbitrary thing. This is very much a planned attack. And we can discuss and debate where the attack is coming from, but this is very much a planned attack meant to rile up, investors against the current situation at Disney. And so then the question arises: who is planning this attack, and what is their agenda?
That's an excellent question. And what I thought was interesting here is that the one that's really being put on blast is Bob Chapek. They don't really say anything about Lucasfilm, although that is where the firing happens. But again, as the CEO, Bob Chapek is ultimately responsible, which again makes it even more interesting. Where is this coming from? Is it coming from someone inside of the Disney Corporation? Is it coming from some of the owners who are unhappy with the current management? What are your thoughts? What's the motivating thing behind this?
People have called me a conspiracy theorist. It's because I've worked in the industry long enough to see conspiracies with my own eyes. That's how things work, right? That's how anything works when large amounts of money and a few people are got together. So my instinct is, because I believe this is an organized attack, my instinct is that this is a combination of disgruntled people inside of Disney, and that could be very high up. In order to get to Forbes, you have to be very high up, right? You can't just be some random low-level VP who's unhappy about the situation. Some pretty powerful people are unhappy about the current situation, and they've allied, in my view, with investors who are unhappy with the situation. Now, all of this is being done behind the scenes. The investor call from a few days ago was very surprising, because you had multiple people raise questions about Lucasfilm and mismanagement situation there, and that's generally not done on these kinds of calls. And so the fact that happened means that there is very seething anger within the investor base, and we're not, Disney doesn't care about somebody who's got 3 shares on E-Trade. They care about the hedge fund and other institutional investors who own hundreds of millions of dollars worth of stock in Disney. They're the ones that actually have influence in it. So those are the kinds of people, as you mentioned. Forbes is read by billionaires. There's a reason that they put out a billionaire list every few weeks of of the top billionaires in America, the top billionaires in the world, etc. Welcome, I think, Lorena Creel.
Oh no!
Cameron, go. There you go.
He was overwhelmed by your beauty and had to, and
I always have to interrupt
yes.
to acknowledge a beautiful woman. But yes, so going back to the dark world of conspiracies, this is coming from a very high level. When something's out in the trades, that can be organized by any sort of mid-level person within a Hollywood studio, right, who has the contacts. When it's coming at the level of Forbes and that kind of attack, that is someone attempting to shake up Disney, and I believe from within, allied with people who are losing money based on the way things are happening. This is something that is causing, I'm sure, severe consternation inside the board itself at Disney. this is very embarrassing for them.
Yeah, because this article right here, I am sure that right now, or the moment after this was dropped, there must have been crisis meetings in the management, because this is certainly the most severe direct attack on Disney's management that I have seen, certainly in my lifetime. Maybe there was, or I'm not going to say my lifetime, but there probably were some pretty bad stuff during the Eisner years and the latter years there. But in modern times,
of this kind of incompetence, they were accused of, you could have gotten a better deal for the Cap Cities deal and stuff like that, right? They weren't accused of essentially malfeasance, which is what this is.
And on top of that, they're also being called out for turning a blind eye to the atrocities in China. Sure. And again, it's not done on a forum. It's not done in a YouTube video that's seen by a couple of hundreds of thousands of people, which is what happens to us. It's obviously read by fewer people than that, but it's read by people with much, much more influence. So could we be looking at a situation where the civil war that was seemingly restricted to Lucasfilm before, now having spread beyond Lucasfilm borders and into Disney management and Disney investors proper? That's kind of like what it looks like to me, that now someone evidently isn't happy with the situation. And since Gina Carano is what they focus on, so like that's like the thing. There are many things to focus on here. You could focus on Pedro Pascal, you could focus on China, but it's Gina Carano, which only goes to show, to me at least, that this situation is far, far worse than any of the involved probably realized at the time. I remember when it happened, you were very clear that this was the end. This was the beginning of the end for Star Wars and for Lucasfilm.
Yes.
Do you still feel that way? And for those that haven't seen your thoughts on that, can you reiterate just how big a deal that was and how that fits in with what we're seeing now?
And I think I said it on this show right after Ms. Carano was let go. I said this is going to be the end of Lucasfilm. It's going to be the end of Kathleen Kennedy at Lucasfilm, and it's going to be the end of at least the way Star Wars is going. And I said that, and at the time, people said, it looks like the bad guys are winning, right? I said, yes, the bad guys have. This is the moment where, to use an inappropriate World War II analogy, this is the moment when the Germans enter into Russia, where it's like, okay, yeah, that's not a good idea. You might win that battle, but you're about to approach a place called Stalingrad, and it's going to bring down the entire Reich. It's going to bring the whole thing down, and you're going right there, right? So that was the moment I knew the red line had been crossed, because Gina's not someone that should be messed with. She's someone who has a worldwide following, and she's an incredibly decent human being. And so when she was crucified in this fashion, it was going to cause an uproar and a financial impact that was going to be felt. And I said at the time, and I was, the first person that showed me this article was our friend Stephanie Janisek, who's in the chat. And I said to Stephanie at the time, I said, this is what we talked about, because I had predicted that the sign of the downfall of Lucasfilm, of the current version of Lucasfilm, would be that you would start seeing negative comments come out in the mainstream media. I said specifically about Kathleen Kennedy. Kathleen Kennedy is not mentioned here, but she's the shadow throughout this entire. She's the phantom menace that's hiding in the story, right? It's obvious where these decisions are coming from, even if they remain afraid to call her out for all the reasons they see afraid to remove her, right? The system is afraid of her, but they're not afraid of pushing her out through the political machinations, and those machinations have begun. So this day was coming. It goes right back to here. I'm wearing my Dartmouth sweatshirt. I was right after The Last Jedi came out, about 3 weeks later, like in January of that year, I went to speak at my alma mater, Dartmouth, at the business school, the MBA program, which I'm an alumnus of, and I gave a talk saying that this is going to be an event that's going to trigger a transformative situation inside of Disney over the next decade, and that they're going to be writing business school cases about how Disney mismanaged the most important film franchise in history. I said that 3 weeks after The Last Jedi to my business school classmates, and here we are, all these years later, and Forbes is now leading that. It's crossed over into a mainstream war that's going to transform Disney.
And rather than call this the beginning of the end, because actually, The Last Jedi said was really the beginning. That was the flashpoint for this. But as Churchill said, this is not the beginning of the end. This is the end of the beginning. Correct. Now we are going to see a whole lot more dominoes start to fall, eventually, and then we'll get to the ultimate, the conclusion of this. But yeah, I mean, this has been a long time coming. Now the fact that it's in Forbes means it's not just, the angry fans on the internet. The people, they can't blame diversity, quote unquote diversity or sexism or misogyny anymore. I mean, it has to fall square. The money people are starting to say, hey, what the fuck is going on? And you knew eventually. We've been saying this all along, Cameron. We've said it. Doomcock said it. Nerdrotic said it. Mecha Random said it. Eventually, when the money people start asking questions, that's when heads are going to start rolling.
Yep.
And to add to that, actually, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I actually meant to say, Lorena, your thoughts on this?
I'm glad I finished chewing some barbecue chicken before I start talking. To kind of use a pop culture reference, having this show up in Forbes is like having it get on the radar of, Duke and Duke from Trading Places. Mm-hmm. Now the high money people are seeing this. Now, to be fair, some of the higher ups in investment have kind of politely been asking, what's your plan for Star Wars? What's going on? You have all these IPs, you don't have a plan. And Disney's like, oh yeah, we have a plan for it. No problem. So it was just kind of gentle, hey, what's up? Now that this has shown up in Forbes, now it's on the normie radar of people with money. And now I bet you as soon as they saw that article, they look at Disney stock price, they start looking, seeing what the heck is going on, and they're calling their money people. Yeah. And they're just like, what now? Now it's my problem. Now it's beginning to be my problem. So this is huge. I agree with Andre. I've never seen Disney called out like this in media ever.
And Lorena, this is, as Andre pointed out, this is a call out specifically on Chapek himself. This is they're going for the king, right? And so and what I believe in my conspiratorial view of this situation, those inside of Disney that facilitated this article, that conspired with it, because I don't believe this is just some journalist sitting there in a news bureau coming up with this independently. I think there's other forces.
No, someone got a couple of phone calls from people at Disney, and he probably got so many that it's like, okay, there's much more to this. And Kamran, like the people where I don't want you to mention I'm in it, keep this, confidential. Yeah. And he probably got the author probably got so many corroborating stories that it's just like, okay, look, there's something to this.
Yeah, and that's exactly how it works. I used to be a journalist myself. I've dealt with journalists here in LA, and the story is the end result of many people trying to make it happen, right? And that's what this is. And it's put Chapek in a position where his leadership and his place in history of Disney is now in question amongst the investors. So now he has whatever leverage Ms. Kennedy has over the system. It's now about personal survival, right? And that's the option that basically the people behind this have given him, saying you can keep protecting her as Mr. Iger did, and can lose your job and be blamed for all of this because she's not mentioned in the article, or you can do what the old Hollywood tradition of pass the buck, this time to someone who deserves it. And remove her from power. This is an effort to remove Ms. Kennedy from power because they're telling Chapek it's you or her.
Yeah, and also this is something that he walked right into, because if we go back to the two past conferences, there was this. Was it Bloomberg? Anyway, it was like a conference with
Morgan Stanley.
Yes, it was Morgan Stanley. In which he fully stood behind her and even called her, he didn't say a national treasure, but he might as well have that she was a treasure for us. And again, you can say that is going through the motions and what he had to say to please all the investors and banking people. All of those, by the way, will be reading this article. And then again, in the investor conference call, where he was basically called out twice by two investors, one of whom asked, "When are you going to fire Kathleen Kennedy?" And to which he simply answered, "Oh, she's amazing, and we hope to be working for her for many, many years." And yes, behind his back, he might have been like sharpening the dagger and preparing for the kill. But in the meantime, to the public and probably to many investors, what he did looked like standing fully behind her and showing that the madness that she represents, the toxicity that she has brought to Lucasfilm, what she has done to Star Wars, whether he means it or not, in public, he says that is going to continue. The Mandalorian is done for. Gina Carano deserved to go, all of that jazz. And I think that someone in there must have decided that, okay, enough's enough. Now it's time to take action.
Well,
and that's how he painted himself in with it, I think. But yeah, Lorena.
Sorry.
Or was it Rob? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, well, Lorena, if you want to chime in before me, I want to.
No, please go ahead. I have like a halfway mouthful of food.
Okay.
You're making me hungry right now. I haven't had breakfast.
Yeah. I had a big bowl of oatmeal. That's not going to last long. So anyway, it's not so much. Here's the thing. It's not so much. People say there was no plan. There was no plan. There was no plan for Star Wars. Okay, we know that. We know that. My big question is, and I'm sure the money guys are asking this right now. Okay, Star Wars is broken. What's the plan to fix it? And it doesn't appear that there is a plan to fix it. If we can all agree that, listen, if Disney had bought Star Wars, bought Lucasfilm and all these properties and just sat on them.
KK's plan is to burn it all down.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree.
Really, this there, my geode action figure. This is what they have. This is the best that they can do.
You know,
it's just exemplary. It's exemplary of everything that it represents. That this current iteration of Star Wars represents. It's a fucking rock, and you heard my breakdown after it was revealed. You heard. I mean, I wouldn't call it breakdown. I wouldn't call it breakdown because I was angry. I was hysterical. Like, this is too much. But by the way, these are available at Home Depot. $8 for a bag of 40-pound bag. You can get them.
They're also available outside in my garden.
But at the same time, I'm sure there are going to be some high-level meetings again. What is the plan to fix it? And if all that she could come up with, the High Republic, I mean, it's failed already. The High Republic is a failure. You fired Gina Carano, your most popular star. You don't. Baby Yoda's not coming back. There is no plan, and it is in a very much worse place now than it was 3 weeks ago. I mean, somebody has to answer this. And now that the money people are getting involved, they're going to have the exact same question. I'm like, show us what you got. You know, remember the big heads from Rick and Morty? Show me what you've got. All of them are going to be saying, show us what you got, KK. Show us what you got. And if she says the High Republic, what the fuck is wrong with you, lady?
You know, it's not about fixing it. Mm-hmm. It's really not.
It's about the agenda.
It's about changing it. And it's about the agenda that they have going on. Because one thing that we're not seeing here is you have them burning down Star Wars, but they're also burning down a lot of legacy Disney properties as well. Two of the things actually being changing 2 iconic rides at the parks, changing Splash Mountain to be based on Princess and the Frog, and doing a diversity update to the Jungle Cruise. They're not trying to fix any of this stuff. They have an agenda to push, as noted by they have a CEO of diversity. Yes, she is a real person. Okay, that's what they're pushing ahead with. And it hasn't gotten uncomfortable to them to the point where they're like, okay, we really do have to sit down and try to fix it. Because if they were about fixing Star Wars, we wouldn't have gotten Rise of Soy Walker. Yeah. That would have been fixed, and it wasn't. So they're not about fixing that. They're about telling us what we need to sit back, shut up, and consume.
Yeah. Well, KK's only edict was for Rise of Skywalker. Make sure Rey is still perfect. You know, that's all that she wanted. All she, like I said, she's pushing this. Listen, I hate going down this rabbit hole. She's pushing this pro-feminist agenda when it doesn't work. And if they think they're going to get all the guys, all the people that sit in line overnight for an iPhone or shop exclusively at Whole Foods as their new audience, hey, lady, I got a bridge in Brooklyn to sell you, okay?
Yeah, and you've hit the issue that this is, both of you hit the issue, which is that this is never been about finances. It's been about a political agenda, broadly. I mean, these people aren't Karl Marx planning out a great plan. What they are is they're trying to fit in at the cocktail party with other limousine liberals who are saying all this nonsense nobody believes, right? And so they just want to be able to say at the cocktail party to other powerful people, look, I've taken the misogynist Star Wars of the George Lucas era and made it a pro-female. And that's no one in that cocktail party cares about Star Wars and is going to point out that it's never been a misogynist franchise, right? And so, but this is what this is. This is a bubble that's being pricked here and the only way it could be pricked is by people who are part of the club. Forbes is the spokespersons for the club, right? I don't know if any of you have seen that movie. I just saw it this week in a theater when theaters open up in Los Angeles, News of the World. Which is a really wonderful movie. It's a Western with Tom Hanks, but it's an unusual thing where Tom Hanks plays essentially an early news reporter. He goes from town to town in the Old West, bringing newspapers to people who have no access to information outside the little town from Dallas, Austin, all these places. And he reads the newspapers and tells them what's going on in the world. And there's this wonderful moment where he comes into a corrupt town run by a sleazy boss hog type who controls the town, who prints his own newspaper. And he has Tom Hanks try to read it. Hanks instead basically, flips the situation. But the point was that guy was creating propaganda, and the only one that could actually stop him was someone within the club, which is Hanks, right? And so that's what this is. We're facing the rise of the reaction within the cocktail party saying, thank you for saying that nice speech. You're messing with my pocketbook now. I'm done.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's exactly what is needed, because here's like the thing, what that Kathleen Kennedy and her entire camp, and you have the same thing other places like Secret Hideout that I saw our good friend Mills bring up in the comments, they're being activists on someone else's dime.
Yeah.
It's very easy to secure continued access and brownie points for the cocktail parties when someone else is ultimately footing the bill. And that is what I really appreciate about this, is that someone is right now mentioning that this ain't okay. You are doing bad by your investors, which isn't stated explicitly in this piece, but that is the underlying message. Like, to me, this reads like a call to arms, an implicit call to arms. And I agree with you, Kamran. It seems like someone is sending the message to Chapek directly that our sights are on you. Someone has to go. So you can choose if it's going to be you or if it's going to be someone else. That's what it looks like.
Also giving him cover, because the ultimate conspiratorial thing of this would be if this was actually coming out of Chapek's office himself, which I said to Stephanie Janicek, right? Because now he's being portrayed as the villain, and you're like, why would he get himself portrayed as the villain of the story? Because it gives him the cover to do what everyone in Hollywood understands, which is pass the buck, right? And so no one in Hollywood would blame him for covering his butt and removing the person that's bringing him this kind of drama.
So it could be a game for the chess. So it might not be someone else within Disney.
Because Chapek is at the level that Forbes would do this. I mean, that's the amazing.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, yeah, a call from Chapek's office or from one of his minions is enough to set this in motion. And this, I said from the beginning when this happened that the reaction to Gina's firing, because that was a shot across the bow at Disney's final effort at profitability with Star Wars and Jon Favreau. I said that's going to create a Machiavellian response to remove her, because she is acting in such a blatant straightforward fashion, the way to remove her has to be Machiavellian. And the ultimate Machiavellian thing is to sacrifice your own name temporarily in order to remove the person that's creating drama for your bottom line.
Well, if it does come from his office, then they can just send like a new article later on redeeming his image. Like news cycles are short. So that's like the thing there, that right now they can put him in a position where he has to act, then he acts, and then it can be like a resurrection story.
No one will blame him. No one will say you did this because you are misogynist, because all they care about, they don't care about what the investors think. They care about what the people at the cocktail party and think, right? And so as long as the other Hollywood moguls will not mock him or blame him for acting, he's going to be fine. And that's going to cover him.
And with an article like this out there, one moment, Rob, with an article like this out there, this gives him the cover, because now we can say, oh, it was either you or her. Like it was really shitty what was done to Kathy, but in this particular case, there was no other option, was there?
Yeah.
Everyone there you go. Yeah, Rob, you were saying.
I was about to say, this is kind of like the boxer who takes a dive just so that the new kid can climb in the ranks just a bit. Yeah, he's still the champ, but this kid's got a bright future ahead of him, so he has to just take it temporarily. But at the same time, like I said, the money people, I mean, they're going to be. Am I wrong in thinking that the money people are asking the same questions? What's your plan? I'm like. And if, we're gonna transform Star Wars. I'm like, but how is that? It's like Shark Tank. How is that gonna make me money?
But you see, if you hit the issue, Rob, the money people already know that they had a plan in Favreau, right? We know that. So people who are sitting around making models, who are making $25 million a year on Wall Street, know that even better than we do, and they have the contacts inside the company to confirm it, right? And so they knew that Favreau was putting on a track. They saw it in the rise of subscription to Disney Plus. They saw it in the global reaction to Luke Skywalker's return. They saw it in the Baby Yoda toy sales. They saw it in the Gina Carano toy sales, right? So they knew there was a plan, and they knew that this was someone subverting the plan for their own personal ego. They know what this is. And so they saw this coming. So this is very much a system going, man, we had this back on track. We were going to make money on this. A year from now, this was going to be in the black, or on the path to being on the black at last, after almost a decade of being in the red. And you're messing with it for your own ego. And we know what this is about, because we're all egomaniacs ourselves. So we know what this is about, right?
So just
thanks for clarifying that a bit.
To kind of also to add to that point with the parks perspective, last time I was at Disney Springs in December, you go into all the shops. There were nothing but Mandalorian gear all over the place. People in line with not one or two pieces. I mean, several pieces of stuff from the Mandalorian. You didn't see anything from the sequel trilogy at all. If you did, you maybe saw one or two toys hidden somewhere. But it was all Baby Yoda and the Mandalorian, and people were buying it up like crazy. So messing with that.
That's what happened here.
And that's why I said it was over. The moment I knew it was over, because I said, Disney's finally made this work. Favreau has fixed this. I subscribed to Disney Plus the moment I heard Luke was back in a respectful way. And then I unsubscribed from Disney Plus the moment Gina was let go. And so I said, I was so happy that Disney had figured out how to get this back on a path of success and profitability. And the people who are invested to the tunes of $100 million were even happier than me. And they knew more about it than me. And so the moment this happened, I said, this is it. This is going to be the revolution. This is when it's time to remove the trouble from the system. And that's coming. And that's why I said it's over. Right after, everyone was like, oh my God, Star Wars is destroyed. I said, no, Star Wars is going to go through a little bit of chaos. And then this disease is going to be removed, because the people who are losing money from this problem are not going to stop.
Here's the thing, though, that in order to fully fix this, that's going to take a lot. But to begin with, it's not enough just to remove Kathleen Kennedy. They have to remove Pablo Hidalgo. They have to remove every single person that was loyal to Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah,
every last one of them has to go. Is there any chance that that's going to happen? Can it be like a complete wipeout? Because I don't see any other way.
I mean, Kennedy is the only thing holding it together. She's the finger in the dam, right? You remove the finger, the whole thing collapses. None of these clowns have any protection. I mean, nobody cares about Pablo Hidalgo in the system. Nobody cares about these random losers at Lucasfilm. Nobody cares about them. That was one of the last tweets I put out there before I was pulled by Twitter. I put out a tweet to Lucasfilm employees because they had been messing with me and sending, a fake accounts to mess with me in the day before. And I said, all you Lucasfilm employees that are messing with me, just know that no, you have no future. No, your resume is meaningless. Because I know from powerful people who said to me, I'll never hire a Lucasfilm employee. Right after what they did to my friend Colin Trevorrow and all of this, and so their careers are done, and they're too delusional to understand that Kathleen Kennedy doesn't care about them. The moment she won't be humiliated in this. They will give her a nice production deal, a nice package. They will give her a bunch of awards, a nice farewell ceremony, and then all of Lucasfilm will be wiped out. It's going to be a complete chaos moment because the moment the finger out of the dam, they're done.
That is very sobering to hear, because it is kind of like what you said. You predicted that the signs are going to be articles calling into question. I believe like the initial prediction was Kathleen Kennedy, but again, this is even bigger and more powerful.
Yeah, exactly. And the way this is actually more than I would have imagined. This is higher because I wouldn't have imagined that they would have taken a shot at Chapek, right? But then like I said, that's an accelerant. Taking a shot at Kathleen Kennedy and revealing some of her competence in the trades was what I thought it was going to be. I never imagined it would be Forbes taking a shot at the management, at the upper management and of Chapek himself. Mm-hmm. That's beyond what I expected. That's a nuclear attack. And that's why I said, okay, well, then this is over, because you don't need to have any embarrassing articles about Kennedy come out in the Hollywood Reporter. You just need him to act to save his ass, which is all he's been put in the position to do now.
Yeah, because like this basically was a carte blanche. This allows him to do anything needed, because I would imagine every other studio head, everyone else in the cocktail parties that he started attending after being promoted to the head of Disney, every single one of them is going to see, you have fire under your feet right now, and you need to do something here. And we'd all do the same in your position.
Exactly. I mean, I was shocked by this article, and I said, okay, this is it. This is, and that shows how dangerous the game was that Kathleen Kennedy was playing. This was a game that I think she overstepped in her confidence when she let Carano go, and then they started doing this aggressive attacks on me, eventually having my Twitter pulled, and then we saw within days of that, we saw the attacks on the character of Jeremy Griggs and other YouTubers, right, calling them racists. All of that is being orchestrated by the Lucasfilm people. Those are not the actions of confident people who've won a war. Those are the actions of people that are terrified and afraid of any source of problem for them, because they know the ground is shifting under their feet and they're trying to take back control. That's what we're witnessing.
That's a very good point. And I want to run through a couple of super chats before we get too far behind. And then I want to segue into a very related point that also has to do with Gina Carano. Now, the next super chat is from D. Carre, who says for $4.99, Midnight's Edge and Kamran, in words of my ancestors, Erin, where went your brow? I probably botched that. Sorry about that. Hopefully that understood someone. And Spider Unlimited says for $9.99, thank you for the sweet, sultry sounds of Tom Connor's croon. Wonderful way to wake up in the morning. So Tom, that was a huge hit.
I guess so. I'm seeing. I knew it'd be all right, but.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And Shum says, today is John Boyega's birthday. Oh. The Star Wars account wished him a happy day. It has not gone well for them since. Well, we shall see. Actually, that would be fun. Tom, can you check out Star Wars Twitter account, see if there's some fun stuff there for us? Meanwhile, Oliver Klosov says, society lies. I am a social hand grenade. Let the Karens scream. Jack Hudson sent us a thumbs up, super secure. And Stephen Otter said, I rescind the first half of my last super chat. Welcome back, Tom. Oh, and Rob too, I guess. So yeah. Stephen Otten also says, what is this Disney of which you speak? And Cultured Casino says, it's about time someone said something. Forbes at least will make investors think. Hope you all have a great stream. And In a Hot Water says, is The Fugitive a St. Patrick's Day movie? Which I don't remember that movie well enough, so who knows? Maybe it is. We have some weird Christmas movies, so why not? Then we have Dash D's, who says, holy crap, Tom and Rob, you must sleep as little as me. Don't any of you sleep? Hi, Kamran. Always good to see you on.
Well, I don't sleep when I'm being asked to come on at 9 a.m. on midnight.
Yeah. He makes an exception just for us.
You know, unless, you know, I actually am for years, I would, you know, worked a regular kind of job where I would have to be there at like 7. So I'm a naturally early riser. So at least I was conditioned to be. So
yeah, that's me. It's just like I start work at 7 a.m. So I'm used to getting up at like 5 for the past 10 years. I don't like it, but yeah, that's what I do.
Usually, but this is much better than like hauling a huge like propane hose to fill a truck up at like, you know, freezing your ass off in the morning. I'm really surprised I didn't blow the whole place up. Jeez.
And then we have Mags, who says, love having Kamran on. Yes, so do we all. And then she says, happy St. Patrick's Day to all, spreading Irish blessings and cheers to all here. Slainte. Or however that is to be pronounced. Sorry about that. I was weak in whatever language Slainte is cheers in.
I would assume that would be Irish.
Like Gaelic?
Gaelic maybe. Yeah.
Probably Gaelic,
And Panzerkrok says for $10, and this is the super chat I want to go through because it segues into the next thing I wanted to talk about.
Oh, yay.
Disney pulling the Bear Grylls with Gina Carano episode is just petty vindictiveness at this point. That company is trash. Walt Disney must be spinning in his grave. And yes, here's the thing. They pulled the episode with Gina Carano. Now, is that something that Kathleen Kennedy and her faction can do? Because they're not related to that at all. I would imagine that must be something that would have come from higher up. Kamran, what have you heard about this, and what are your thoughts on it? On suddenly a Bear Grylls episode with Gina Carano disappearing?
Well, what that reveals to me is that the civil war inside of Lucasfilm is now a civil war inside of Disney. Right. I don't know that this came from Bob Chapek's office. If it did, he really does deserve the condemnation that Forbes is giving him. Right. My instinct is, and this is just my instinct. No one's told me anything about this. My instinct is these are allies of Miss Kennedy who share, you know, her values or just, you know, the other thing to keep in mind is that even if you aren't sitting there aggressively with I'm a Kathleen Kennedy, you know, agenda person, the people making decisions, they're just usually mid-level people who are trying to survive, right? And so the one thing they know, all they know is they got the memo that Miss Carano has been fired for making inappropriate comments about the Holocaust, right? And so that's enough in Hollywood to go, yep, I don't want to, I'm just going to pull that, right? And unless I get a call from the boss to stop me. And so that's kind of a mid-level action that one takes. So I don't think this is coming from Chapek's office. I think it is extremely stupid. And I think once the word has gone out, because I understand that Gina herself let people know that happened to her. And she had been very proud of the Bear Grylls episode. I remember her tweeting the photo that she was with him a few months ago. And so that's going to blow up in their face and accelerate this process even further because it is now vindictive and idiotic.
Lorena, what are your thoughts on Disney pulling the episodes of Bear Grylls featuring Gina Carano? What does that tell you? As an investor, How excited are you about that?
I'm not. To me, it's extremely spineless to just pull an episode like that. And not spineless, but I would say very spiteful and petty for them to do that. And if anything, it just lends more credence to the fact that they just wrongfully got rid of Gina Carano. To me, that tells me that they're just trying to cover their backside. It doesn't look good to me. And not very smart. If they would have just let the episode air, it would have given them a little bit of plausible deniability, but they decided to make yet another very, very visible mistake.
Well, they proved their point again that there is a blacklist, right? It even Forbes made that comment that maybe the appropriate analogy was towards the blacklist of Hollywood in the 50s, right? Or maybe that's the appropriate analogy. Well, there's a blacklist, right? She can't be on anything. And again, I don't think most of these decisions are being made at the CEO level, because this is such a massive machine of people who are responsible for different parts, and they all just want to fit into the system. So whatever they think the narrative is inside the company, they're supposed to go with. That's why you have these moments where the Dukes of Hazzard gets canceled because the General Lee has a Confederate flag on it, right? I don't know that the head of the studio made that decision. Let's not put out Dukes of Hazzard DVDs anymore. I think some mid-level person in charge of that department said, "Oh, I'm seeing Confederate flag drama, Dukes of Hazzard. I don't want to get fired. Let me just pull this thing that I'm responsible for." This is mid-level incompetence that is revealing how deep the infestation has gotten of sort of woke culture and bowing down to these woke maniacs, and it's only going to accelerate the process of change.
Let me ask Cameron something though. Hold on. First, okay. Is there any kind of acknowledgement now within Disney that Star Wars isn't the entertainment franchise it used to be, that there's more competition out there for your entertainment dollar? Or are they still pretty myopic and thinking, oh yeah, it's Star Wars. Why wouldn't kids like it?
I mean, that was concluded years ago. They knew that right after Han Solo. After the Solo movie died, they internally knew that they had screwed it up. They knew that because, again, if we know that, people who are actually looking at the financials and they lie about the numbers to the public, the people who are actually looking at the real numbers before the accountants mess with them, realize what's happened. They knew about. That's why Mr. Favreau was brought in. That's why it started getting back on track. That's an intentional choice, and it was an intentional screw you to Lucasfilm, right? That was done internally, but it was done very politically in a savvy way, so it looked like he was just a team player that was fulfilling Kathleen Kennedy's vision rather than hijacking it, bringing it back to sanity. And so that realization is what got disrupted by this Carano thing. And this Carano thing, from all I understand, was done by Lucasfilm essentially without anyone realizing it until it was too late. And it was done in a way that people could not politically intervene because it was linked to World War II issues, which are very emotional in Hollywood, right? And once you're lambasted as making any kind of comment that somehow denigrates those events, then your career in the mini cocktail parties at the lower levels that I work at, your career is kind of finished, right? And so nobody wants to be in that situation. But they all knew, man, you just messed up the gravy train. They already knew they were in financial crisis. They knew Favreau fixed it, and now they know that the gravy. This is spiraling out of control. What can they do? I mean, this is going to be, if Miss Kathleen Kennedy wants to burn down Star Wars, I mean, this is going to burn down a large part of Disney until they get it under control. That's what the situation has become, and that's what Forbes reveals.
Yeah, I hate to think I'm asking the same question over and over again, but thanks for clarifying that. So
but because look, their behavior isn't rational. The reason we're asking these questions is everything we're seeing doesn't make sense, right? It only makes sense if you understand that nobody inside that company is trying to make a profit. Everyone is just trying to keep their job. And if making a profit is the only way they can keep that job, then they'll be forced to do it. And that's where we are.
On that note, because Kathleen Kennedy, she still has many, many, many defenders. And we know our good friend, Robert Meyer Burnett, he has even said that the one thing that he and everyone else in our community of the internet will never agree on is the view on Kathleen Kennedy, where he has said that she's the bestest producer ever, which I think, yeah. Which I don't necessarily agree with, but in any event, then, because also a point that's made by him and many others is that she has on average the movies that she has produced have a higher average gross than the movies that Kevin Feige has produced, even if there are fewer than them.
Yeah. I think that's rationalization. I mean,
that's what I mean too. Because by rights they shouldn't be higher; they should be much higher. Because many will like to say to defend her, "Oh, but she has produced $4 billion movies."
She should have produced $10 billion movies. I mean,
exactly,
these things should have been massive.
And also, I will say that they should all have been close to $1.5 billion and $2 billion, and not have a downward trend starting from $2 billion going down to $1 billion.
This was the Star Wars plan, because I remember, Rob, we talk about. I remember seeing this article. It might have been in Forbes or somewhere else, but I remember seeing this in a financial publication right after the Disney acquisition back in 2012 of Star Wars, that a financial analyst made predictions when they'd announced they were going to do a new trilogy. So he made predictions as to how the trilogy would do based on just his analysis of the market for Star Wars. And he was dead right on the first movie. He said the first movie is going to come in this trilogy at about 2.1 billion. And he was dead right. It came out like 2.3, right? Something like that. And then he said the next movie is going to be 2.5. And the next one is going to be after that is going to be 3 billion. What is it? And he had and this was the plan, because this was being put out in the financial papers of being put out. This is what they thought. This is why Disney is such a brilliant acquisition of Lucasfilm. And this was the plan. This is what happened. That's not the plan. That's never the plan in a financial situation. And, with respect to Mr. Burnett, and I've been on a live stream with him. I like him. I will.
Yeah, we're good friends with him, so we just agree to disagree on that.
We don't agree on this. I will say that many people, and I'm not saying Mr. Burnett is one of them. I'm going to accept that what he's saying is from a sincere analysis as a fellow colleague in the industry. Many people that I've encountered will say disingenuous things because they don't want to make Kathleen Kennedy an enemy, right? I mean, I'm no longer on Twitter. Right, I'm done, right? And Twitter was very helpful to me to promote my novels and other stuff. And I've been kicked off for allegedly doing spam right after I started making some aggressive comments about Lucasfilm, and I'm pulled. Right, that's the kind of power that these people have, and most people wisely do not want to publicly aggravate them, as I have. I don't care, because the industry has treated me the way it treated me in the last 20 years, and I've created my own career despite it. So I don't fear those repercussions. Perhaps I should, but I don't. And so most people in the town that I've seen publicly defend Miss Kennedy are simply trying to not create an enemy. Right? Privately, I've never heard anyone in the industry say a good thing about her privately. I mean, so it's just. And from very powerful people will say pretty nasty things. So when people say that, that's just public PR. So, to fit within the system. And I've long since stopped caring about fitting within the system.
Yeah. Also, Lorena, I know that you have another business meeting, so you probably can't be with us much longer.
No, I can't. Matter of fact, I have to sign off to go back.
Thanks for joining us. It's always a pleasure to have you on.
Oh, always. I'm loving actually being able to spend my lunch break with all of you and in the chat. So thanks so much again for having me, and everyone take care, and I'll talk to you next time.
Yes,
bye, Lorena.
On Monday, and check out Lorena's channel.
Thank you.
Then I'm going to take the opportunity to go through a couple of more super chats. Troy Pacelli says for $5, I guess Forbes constitutes a bunch of ist and phobic alt-right Yahtzees now. Just saying. Yeah, that's actually a very good question. Kamran, what's the response of the industry to this? Are someone going to say, oh no, Forbes has gone the way of the toxic fans?
I don't know how much he really got into it, though, before he answers, Andre. But in the article, the individual writing it still goes with the media narrative of what they say Gina meant. But he still says that's not a big deal.
He's covering himself. He's saying he should have said the analogy should have been this. I'm like, no, her analogy is perfectly fine. And I've had friends of mine who are Jewish producers who said her analogy was perfectly accurate. I'm just not going to publicly come out and defend her because I don't want any lightning bolts from Disney. But yeah, I mean, her analogy was fine. But again, that's part of an official narrative.
You know what's going to be? You know what's going to be the response to that? He's just an old white dude. He's just an old white dude. He can't accept diversity because he's an old white dude.
So that's kind of like what I want to get to because yeah.
Well, I was saying someone in the chat wrote, and I have, since I'm not on Twitter, I can't confirm this. Someone in the chat wrote that the Twitter of the writer of that article has vanished, is deleted. So if someone could check that, I don't know if that was pulled by Twitter or they pulled it themselves. Either way, that reveals to me that this is a very powerful and dangerous article. If he pulled it himself, it's because this was a planned article to shake things up, and they don't want this guy dealing with the repercussions of that. Or if it was pulled by Twitter, it just proves the civil war is real, just like I was pulled by Twitter, and it proves how they're desperately trying to quash this narrative article is.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what I want to go through because that his account is gone, and whether that happened on his own, Darth Cerebrus says that he deleted his own account. I think. Now, did he do that before anything happened, or was he flooded with hate? That would be interesting to find.
I can't tell on that.
Oh yeah, no. Flash covered it. It's deleted. Oh, okay. So
so check out Yellow Flash, evidently.
Yeah. Check out Yellow Flash. Yeah. But in any event, though. So yeah, he pulled it.
Well, there's a comment here I agree with, and I could be wrong. There's a comment I just saw flash by that from Cartoonish 01, Cortanish 01. My money is that he pulled it himself. Pull the pin on the hand grenade, drop it, and then run like hell. Because this is an organized hit. And so my feeling is they were told, do this, and then get out of the way.
Yeah. Michael Miller says, Kamran, he pulled it. 3 days before, he was asking people to like his account. Yeah, I like that analogy. Dropping or drawing the pin of a hand grenade and run like hell. Yeah.
Because let's be honest here, most people, who is going to attack them? It's only going to be these wackos. It's not going to be the wealthy investors who read Forbes. It's going to be these wackos on Twitter. It's literally, and that would create a distraction. And the smartest thing to do is drop it and then remove the person from the conversation, so only the article stands.
Yeah. Because that way he can't be cancelled. No, but also that's what I meant to say. It's like this article here in these cocktail parties or anywhere in the industry. Is there going to be any kind of attempt to try to rationalize it? Like, no, we did what we had to do, and Forbes is too base. They're problematic. Or will there be, oh crap, we went too far?
Nobody thinks like that in the cocktail party. That's all, again, that's just PR. Everyone in this town, except for me, puts out a PR face, right? And so that's just PR that you say for the external world. In the cocktail party, nobody's talking about pronouns. Nobody's talking about any of these issues that people are talking about. Nobody uses the word problematic at the cocktail party level, right? Nobody uses that.
Nobody's having cocktail parties right now.
Yeah, I mean, because they're basically all Boss Hogg and his minions, and they don't actually think like the things that they're promoting us to think like. And so on that level, it's pure power. It's pure power plays. And so the only thing that the conversation is right now that's happening inside of movie studios is the CEO of Warner Brothers is sitting there reading this in their office or whatever, home, wherever they're working from right now, and laughing and going, I don't know how Chapek's going to handle this. I know what I'd do, right? And so, that's the conversation at that level. Nobody's thinking, well, I feel that I have to protect this strong one. Nobody's saying any of that crap. And then they never say that crap privately.
Yeah. What are they saying privately? You said you may make one saying, "Oh, I know what I do." What would he do?
That's what they're all saying. They're like, "Oh, this is," and they all know what the game is. They all know that the media is an arm of powerful people. It has always been that. Thomas Jefferson said that, right? That's why he pushed so hard for the First Amendment. He just wanted competing powerful people. He knew the newspapers, even in his time, were someone pushing an agenda. So he just wanted to make sure there was a lot of people pushing an agenda so they could compete to find the truth, right? That was the idea. So they know how this game works. at that level, and so they're like, I want, a few people are probably sitting going, nice move, Chapek. Now you've put her in a corner where you have to let her go. Right, that's a nice move. I mean, again, I don't know that Mr. Chapek did this, but I'm thinking that the CEOs are thinking that's what I would do, right? And so and that's what this town is all about. I mean, but again, you can't say it publicly.
It's a real life Game of Thrones. Of course, there are many Game of Thrones, but it's definitely one of them.
Absolutely, this is a ruthless place where about wealth, money, and ego. That's all it is.
Yeah. Yeah, and someone appears to have overplayed their cards, but it's very nice to see that now finally all the stuff that we've been talking about, that's been in the comments in the Star Wars YouTube channel, in the Oscar channel, with that whole fade-in video, now it's reached the official narrative in Forbes, and it's done so in an acceptable way. So yeah. You're going with
this.
That.
This is a hit. Remember, I said right the week that this happened, I said to you guys, a hit is coming. This is the hit. It's a bigger hit than I imagined, but this is a hit.
Yeah. So massive kudos to you, Kamran, because you absolutely called it, and you did it right here on Midnight's Edge in the morning. The last time you were here.
Of Carano being fired. And at the time, everyone was despairing. I said, no, this has gone too far, and they're going to take her out, and they're going to do it in a way that she's not going to see coming, which is, I didn't see this coming.
Yeah. Yeah, you said exactly that. So that's going to be, I'll see if I can edit a video together of that, make those predictions in there in the final video. So that will be good times. Tom and Rob, any thoughts on this before we move on with some super chats?
I mean, I posited last night that, or the other night with that this article, or was it last night? Yeah, because this article came out yesterday. Whatever it was, basically that this article could be more so like the media realizing that they picked the wrong narrative to go with here, and so they're trying to switch. Even though they're still sticking with the classic idea that they weren't wrong, like I said, he still sticks with the idea of what Gina was saying without actually going by what she was saying. I think that this is a point where the media's trying to start to cover its own ass, perhaps, because they might.
Who are they covering their own ass against? They don't actually
themselves. I mean, that's the thing is they know they've gotten this one wrong, and people are calling them out.
But I am of the view that the media always knows it's gotten it wrong because the media is putting out different viewpoints of whoever is backing it. So that's, they are shamed. I mean, it's like what we watched. If I make a political analogy, it's like what we watched, with CNN during the election. People were attempting to raise questions about Mr. Biden's son, and it was completely suppressed as false information. And CNN mocked any effort to even ask questions about Hunter Biden. The moment, days after the election had been called for Mr. Biden, suddenly CNN puts out this stuff that, well, actually the FBI is investigating Hunter Biden, whatever. And they did it completely shamelessly. Completely. It was 3 weeks before that they had called it fake news. And 3 weeks later, they did that because that was a hit, because that was part of a plan to maybe push Ms. Harris more into the prominence, right? That's how this game works. It's never about, well, we were wrong. They're always wrong. They know they're wrong. I was a journalist. They know they're wrong.
That's not really what I'm saying so much more as they know that they're losing the crowd. They did that poll a couple weeks back that came out that over 70% of the people thought she shouldn't have been fired and so on and so forth. And what I'm getting at is I think they're seeing the tide change. And so they don't want to get caught up in the blame. So they're trying to change with the tide, even though they're the ones who generated most of this shit. And they know that.
So we are not disagreeing. We are focusing on different aspects of where the tide is changing.
Yeah,
you're viewing it as okay. The media people sitting around in Forbes and in the bureau are going, I think the public isn't on this board. Yeah. I am seeing that conversation happening inside of Disney offices, and then someone making a call to Forbes saying you need to put this out there. Right? That's
I would agree with you, except for the fact that this headline makes Disney look bad.
Which is what you need. It's the only way to get rid of Miss Kennedy.
Yeah, we actually covered that in detail, Tom. Yeah.
You may be right.
Bob Chapek directly.
Yeah. This is my view: is that this is a planned hit, and the media is being used as the vocal point for the hit. It could be another way around. Neither you nor I were present in those rooms when this decision.
The only reason I'm bringing that up is because the guy who wrote this is not Scott Mendelson. He's not one of these other guys who's normally out there toting the.
Scott Mendelson would never write an article
exactly
like this
my point. And this guy is somebody who's only written a few. I did find is what I could on him. I mean, he's just written some random, like, nonchalant articles about this, that, and the other. It seems like to me, from what I can see.
That's why it's a hit. He's been chosen.
Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're the new guy. You don't have a rep. You don't have like,
I don't know, except for the problem is this isn't looking
from doing this.
This isn't making Kathy look bad. This is making Bob Chapek look bad, though. That's the thing that I don't.
But that's the only way to get.
With you guys are looking.
You can't make Kathy look bad. Under the current narrative, that is what she has planned.
I get what you're saying, but it just doesn't make sense to me. Sorry.
It makes sense to me because that is what she has planned for. She has an entire strategy of, if they try to say something about me, I'm going to have a phone call into Variety. This person is going to put out this hit piece on that person because I'm protected. She's created an entire strategy so that she cannot be criticized. And she has not been criticized, right? Despite the decade of incompetence, right? In the media, she hasn't been. So the only way to do it now is to force his hand because she's created a wall around herself. Any effort to try to criticize her will be shot down. That reporter will be attacked by her flying monkeys and be called a misogynist and will be let go from Variety under the political pressure. So you can't do it. But now the only way to do it is to put Chapek in the position where his fellow CEOs are like, you got to act, buddy. You got to act. And I won't blame you.
This guy, Del Vecchio, is expendable, essentially.
That's why his Twitter's fault. Twitter's fault. Irrelevant.
Yeah, exactly.
And he also didn't bring up Miss Kennedy. He didn't do the 2 flashpoints. He didn't bring up Miss Kennedy's name at all, and he didn't say that Gina Carano did not do anything inappropriate. He just said it's a false analogy, right? And so he covered his own ass, and then he pulls his Twitter. This is not normal behavior. This is the behavior of someone being sent out as a messenger. Now duck and get out of the way. That's just my view.
And also that messenger obviously couldn't be Scott Mendelson. And Scott Mendelson is not a power figure in Forbes. He is one guy who covers the entertainment industry. If someone higher up at Forbes decides that, you know what, we don't like what you're doing, they snap their fingers, and Scott Mendelson will never be heard from again. Because he'll be deplatformed from Forbes. He's not that powerful. And also, Forbes, he has like relations and stuff with Lucasfilm and all the people there. So he wasn't the guy that was gonna do this. That was never gonna happen.
He can't burn those. That's why this reporter, as you said, never. It is such to me an obvious hit because this reporter hasn't been covering this, and this reporter makes such an aggressive attack on the management of a multi-billion-dollar corporation from a magazine aimed at billionaire investors, right? This is such to me an obvious hit, and then he disappears. I mean,
to me it looks like someone at Forbes told him, "You're going to take it like, hey, new guy, you're going to take for the team right here."
Yeah. Get out there, lean into the first close pitch.
And it's worked. Nobody's talking about this guy anymore. They're talking about the article. No one's. I don't even remember his name, right? And that's intentional. And now you're not focusing on him.
Let me ask Cameron, though, what do you expect to happen next? I mean, what is going to be the next? I mean, because we always hear about the setup as a trial balloon or whatever. What do you think is going to be the next development? I mean, if you were to speculate.
So if this is the avenue to remove Miss Kennedy, which I believe it is, then the next thing is now you've got to build on this. You've got to start having leaks and articles about financial problems inside of Disney. Right, you got to have those come so that it more and more of the embarrassing laundry has to be put out, so that that ultimately no one is going to blame Chapek for doing what he needs to do, and that requires humiliating himself in the process. But if this town, you humiliate yourself for a little bit, and they forget about it because you're still the CEO of one of the biggest companies on the planet. Right? It'll be once the game has been finished. It's all forgotten and moved on, and he'll be seen as the savior who acted to save the company once the general public and the general investorship understands how bad the situation is. That was the first shot. This next shot is you're going to see articles coming out, and you should clip this because let's see when it comes true. I believe it will. You'll see articles start coming out about financial problems inside of Disney, and more pressure will build for Chapek to act to fix the problem, and everyone knows what the problem is.
Yeah. Kamran, wait just 1 second.
Yes.
Can you say that whole sentence one more time?
Andre, I actually asked a pertinent question, you know?
Yes, you did. Kudos, Rob.
So the next step.
Next prediction,
The next step in this process of transformation and removing Miss Kennedy from Lucasfilm will be the appearance of articles in the financial papers, not the trades, the financial papers. They may appear in the trades as well, but it's primarily the financial papers, which will show the financial problems inside of Disney related to Star Wars, Lucasfilm. Once those start coming out, the pressure on Bob Chapek to let Ms. Kennedy go and to transform Lucasfilm will become very public. And the only way for them to remove Ms. Kennedy is for there to be such a public investor uproar that they can cover themselves at the cocktail parties and said, look, Kathy, this wasn't personal. It was my job or yours, and that's how the game works, right? I would never have done this to you had I not been pressured. And these damn journalists were out there putting all this bad stuff about Lucasfilm. I had no choice. So that is what the finances, it's going to be the way that they change the situation. They'll reveal what everyone already knows, which is that Disney is major financial trouble because of Lucasfilm mismanagement. The very fact that the Forbes article talks about mismanagement reveals that.
Or if I were to draw an analogy, it's like how they got Al Capone on tax evasion.
That's a perfect analogy, you know, and that's exactly what you do when you can't. When the system is bought up, the reason they couldn't get Al Capone on mass murder was that he controlled the judges, right? He had bought off the judges and he controlled the legal system. So he was protected. And he had created an entire strategy that that the federal government was like, there's no way through this. How do we do this? And then one smart accountant inside the Treasury Department said, get him on taxes, because that's the one thing that even the corrupt judges that he's paid off can't get around, right? And then because that's the one thing that will cause public outrage, uproar. Everyone hates paying their taxes, and this guy isn't paying this guy isn't paying his taxes. Well, screw him. And then that puts political pressure on the judges to do what needs to be done, which is what was done. That was utterly brilliant because it understood where the nation was, and understood the populace, and it understood the corrupt system and how it could be moved. And that's exactly what we're facing here. The people inside of Disney know the system is corrupt, and they're like, and they know that Miss Kennedy has gamed the system to her advantage for a decade. They're like, well, then if that's it, then how, if we can't use the system and remove her, how do we pressure the system to do it internally based on its own levers? That's what's happening here.
All right, there you
go. You got a clip there. And I have a feeling these clips are being seen in Miss Kennedy's office. She's going, who the hell is this guy? Who the hell? Bring up his IMDb. Why is this moron talking? Make sure he's never hired. I'm like, oh, don't worry. I already worked in Disney. I'm done.
It's more like, who the hell is this guy? Who is this moron talking? How can I fire him by now? Somebody get me his name.
Indeed. We have more to talk about.
Frank loves the cut of your jib.
I like him. He got that. I can't say those things.
Yeah. Speaking of saying things, Rob, we got a super chat that requested you say something. So if you check the private chat.
Dash Dees, yeah. It's $22 Canadian. Rob, do the voice. Nobody expects us. I didn't expect a sort of Spanish Inquisition. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. A weapon of surprise, supplies of fear are 2 weapons. Okay, it's enough.
Yeah, there you go. We have a couple more super chats that I want to run through before we carry on. And I like this one. I regrettably cannot bring them up on screen. StreamYard really needs to get on that, so you're just going to have to listen to me. The Rubber Band Man says, you guys need to give yourself more credit. Midnight's Edge called it last year. The path Disney not dealing with the wokeness will lead to their decline. Indeed. Yeah, and then Cynical Lindsay says, Demi Lovato just came out with accusations against someone she knew that worked for Disney. Buckle up, all. This is where the fun begins.
Again, that's not coming out arbitrarily. Demi Lovato has PR people. You know, PR people. These are all. It's hard for people to imagine. All of these people are actors in a play, and literally, Demi Lovato, she has PR people that tell her, "Yeah, I think you should be talking about this." So that means someone is telling her, "We need to start spreading some stuff about Disney." Someone's telling her PR people that.
Yeah. On that note, let's try to avoid the word that's going to get this stream taken down. You know, the word that begins with A and continues with B and then continues with use. So let's avoid that particular word. What's going on with Demi Lovato? This is news to me.
I'm like, absolute vodka? Why would we avoid that? So never mind.
I mean, look, I don't know the specifics of the instance that they're referring to because I'm not on Twitter, so I don't really know what people are doing anymore. I'm literally cut off from the world. But it's, you know, regrettably, that experience has been part of the Hollywood experience for 100 years. You know, unfortunately, you know, and it goes back to the silent film era where you had silent film actresses were actually suing some of the powerful producers for treating them poorly, we'll say, okay, and putting them in very difficult situations. And so that has unfortunately been the ugly part of this culture going back over a century. It's deeply rooted in there. And, you know, efforts to reveal those things have all been political efforts to remove this person and that person and protect the reputation of other perpetrators. So that's how the system works. It's never been about want justice for these people. It's always been about, you know, planned attacks on people that needed to be removed by this adversary or that adversary and protecting those that had power. So when conversations about this topic arise again, it's very often the result of a planned attack because this is used as a smear. And I'm not denying that horrible events may have happened to Ms. Lovato. I'm sure they did, regrettably. I'm saying that there's a reason why these things are revealed at the times that they're revealed. What's
the game plan behind this coming out right now in this moment, and not 2 years ago when it was much more in the wave with all accusations like this coming? Why now?
That's exactly it. There's no impetus in the environment to talk about this topic. In fact, the industry no longer wants to talk about this topic anymore. They took care of the people like Mr. Weinstein that they needed to take care of, and they've protected the others. So for this to come out at this moment, right when, you know, this is all organized. Forbes comes out with this attack on the management of Disney, then suddenly a major actress like Ms. Lovato comes out, you know, in essentially a vacuum talking about experiences at Disney. There are forces that are attempting to shake up Disney internally, and that's the expansion of this Lucasfilm civil war. It is what you said a year ago. The woke journey has brought them to a place where it's now between those who will burn down the entire store. We're not talking about Lucasfilm. There are people that are willing to burn down Disney versus people that are trying to preserve their jobs. And so that's what this war is about. And that this revelation by Ms. Lovato is part of an organized effort to shake things up at Disney.
Yeah, she don't name any names, but she said it was an actor. And she said she even basically, it sounds like she reported it to Disney and they didn't do shit.
Well, that's the norm. Anyway, you know, as I've told my actor friends who've had unfortunate experiences, I said, you know, regrettably, you know, and it's surprising me when people don't understand this, but human resources is not your friend. Human resources purpose is to protect the company from lawsuit. And their purpose is to get the information and then use the information against the troublemaker. And that is what I've consistently witnessed when people have brought up situations to human resources. It is used to identify troublemakers and people that are going to cause a problem and then say, okay, this is the person making the complaint. Now we know who we have to remove from the system. And that's the way corporate human resources works.
Good times, good times. Scott Adams was right, in other words, with Catbert, the evil HR boss.
Well, I mean, Scott's been right about a lot of things. I don't always agree with him, but his understanding of the employment marketplace has been 100% spot on.
Yes, indeed it has. We're going to go through a few more super chats here. We don't have you for too much longer. And there are some other things I want to ask you as well. But before then, Cultured Casino says, this is a setup for a short. Kamran is right. And Moxie on that note says, so who wants to buy Disney, I wonder? And Oliver Close-Up, yeah, indeed. And Oliver Close-Up says, okay, can I buy Lucasfilm for $2? KK is the Titanic. And then Michael Miller says, next domino to fall needs to be Secret Hideout. Yeah, I think that's relatively isolated, but I'm sure there's pawns in motion there as well.
It's not as public a situation as Lucasfilm is, but obviously the fan dissatisfaction with that company and what it's been producing is real, and Disney's aware of it.
Yeah. Rocky Desert Flower wonders, maybe it's Amazon going against Disney if there is a strategy here. I don't believe that for 1 second. Like, this has to be within civil war within Disney. I don't think that Amazon needs to do anything to hurt Disney. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think this could be a rival company takeover plan. It could be that, but I just think there's enough bad blood inside of Disney for this to be an internal civil war. Remember, they have bad blood also with George Lucas, who is a billionaire who's very powerful. When you have bad blood, billionaires, you don't need an external force to create this kind of chaos.
Yes. And Brightest D4Y says, keep your fists clenched and your wallets closed. Yeah, I think many feel that way. Nicholas Black says, I long have had the opinion that Kennedy wasn't going without someone higher up going as well. Chapek is the perfect fall guy for bad decisions of Iger and Lucas.
Could be. It could be. Wherever it's happening is happening at that level of the game, right? And so it could be this could be Mr. Chapek attempting to find a way to oust Miss Kennedy and preserve himself. This could be Mr. Iger trying to ease himself back in by using a fall guy. All of those things are possible scenarios, but whatever is happening at that level of the game for this Forbes article to be in play. It's happening.
Well, I think Iger's out, but I've said this before that Bob Chapek is the rebound girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's not going to be there very long. I have this feeling.
Well, but then is Iger out? Yes, Iger is publicly out.
He says he's out by the end of the year, which means he's probably pretty much out now. He's just probably.
Well, I can't help but feel that Iger is out in the same way that Putin was out when he stepped down as president and became prime minister under Medvedev. I think he's out in that way. And the moment that enough time had passed, then Medvedev nominated his perfect replacement for president, Putin.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that I would agree with that analogy. When I heard that Mr. Iger had last year during the events of last year suddenly announced he's coming back in as sort of the shadow CEO, and that's announced. That's normally just done quietly, but that's like announced. Like Iger's coming back in is like, what? That is the craziest thing. I was like, you have a new CEO, and a few weeks later you announce the old guy is still back somehow in the system. I mean, that was a little.
To me, that sends the message that the old guy was never gone. He was always the power behind the scenes.
And when Disney had been shaken up because of the health issues of last year, they needed to let investors know, okay, don't worry. Yeah, this new guy is not the guy, actually. This is just our face. The old guy is still the guy. So you're going to be okay.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking as well. And then Coffee Lover 239 says for $5, that whole rock madness with High Republic reminds me of that scene in A Bug's Life. Pretend that it's a seed. It's a rock. And Mexican Iron Man says for $15. Hail. Thank you so much. It's nice to wake up to some good news and actual accountability for once. Great to start the California day with Midnight's Edge, Reina, and my brother Kamran. Sabah El Kahir. Rob, check your DM in 2 minutes. So yeah, check that.
yeah, I've already checked it. He actually, he's got a line on a Geode action figure.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Hold on, let me see if I could isolate
the Rock have like a bandana with guns on it, or something. You know.
No, but it has sex.
Make sexy time with Rock.
Yeah, but you heard about
I've
the
been
book
working
yet?
so hard
There's
20
a
years in Hollywood.
book where they talk about it. Yeah.
Did you?
It's kids stories though, you know.
Yeah, Cameron, did you actually hear me? My reaction in real time to the Rock. I mean,
if you have a clip of that, let's see it. I'd love to see.
Yeah,
it.
we have a clip. The clip is up on the main channel where we go through like the reaction to Leox Giassi, not Gayassi, as I thought it was pronounced. But,
Leo the gay ass.
Yeah, you're not supposed to say that part out loud.
Well, it's me.
Anyway.
Come on, Andre. I've been canceled more times than Family Guy. Come on.
Yeah, but you don't want to.
Yeah, this is true.
You don't want to cancel.
But anyway,
He's being pre-canceled, I think.
Yeah. Kamran, while we still have you, I want to do one more super chat to segue into the final topic that I want your thoughts on before I know that you have another appointment. Ditzy says, cancel Disney Plus and sail the high seas. And I'm sure quite a lot of people will be doing that. And on the note of high seas, oh, look there, we have the Geode action figure.
The Geode, there you go. With
That's
zero,
the 3 3/4 inch one there.
With 0 points of articulation.
Well, look, we've come back to the 1970s. The your pet Rock has come back, right?
It comes with actual force, though.
For God's sake.
Oh, in other news, Natalie Portman is remaking Pinocchio, evidently. Well, I say that just because she says she's reworking classic fairy tales that are mainly male-driven. And I'm sitting here trying to think of any other male-driven fairy tale besides Pinocchio.
Oh, God.
Cinderella, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty.
Aladdin, that's going to be the only one.
Is that really a fairy tale, or is that a?
I'd call it. It's a Middle Eastern fairy tale.
Okay,
or story or legend, or But
my point being is 90% of all the fairy tales have female leads.
Well, or if you
is she doing?
I mean, I guess you could do Fantasia with Mickey, right?
That's not a fairy tale, really, though.
Yeah.
No, actually, it is like the Sorcerer's Apprentice. That's actually a pretty faithful story.
Yeah. So
but I don't know if I'd consider that a fairy tale.
I think Ms. Portman is just doing her, talking as an actress and trying to get attention. I don't think there's anything specific. I mean, everyone in Hollywood we're all working on something, so I don't think there's anything real to that. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think that's. I think that's just talk.
Yeah, she was the one that said, "Oh, I don't want to work for Disney anymore because they won't hire female directors, and I quit Thor because Patty Jenkins led the project." And then, hey, Natalie, you want to come back for Thor: Love and Thunder? Oh yeah, sure, no problem.
She's Thor now.
That's whatever. This is all. It's all just part of the Hollywood PR dance.
It's all part of the game. Yeah,
it's all part of the game. It works. Thor. So whatever.
She needs some My Doll. She's so Thor. It's that time of the month.
But anyway, while we still have you, Kamran, the point was high seas. Something else that is out on the high seas right now is the Snyder Cut. And the only reason why it's out on the high seas, in my opinion, is that the people at Warner Brothers, these are the same people that have been ridiculing everyone who wanted it. Those who did Zack Snyder dirty in the first place, those that tried to bury the thing for years, and that have been trying to sabotage the whole thing for basically all the way up to release, even now with the release, with orchestrating it. And I do submit that the only reason that it has leaked is because someone in Warner wanted it to leak ahead of the premiere, specifically so as to harm HBO Max subscription numbers. That is my theory, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, a leak of that level, I mean, that's a massive leak, right? So not everyone has access to that digital data in order to put that out there. So it has to have come internally, and I do, because this whole thing is a conspiracy. I do believe that you're right on that this was done as some kind of sabotage effort, because there are people that consistently the Snyder Cut, and I don't really I
Are
don't
we
share
sure
the
this
passion.
didn't leak out from it coming out the other day? And not only
No,
that, well, there's a few things I'm going to bring up here.
Okay,
First
go
of
ahead.
all, they had the fuck up where it showed up instead of Tom and Jerry, and some people claim they were able to watch an
That
hour
was
of
not the fuck up. I submit that's not the fuck
again,
up.
let's just say it was for now, for the sake of the story.
Argument. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
That's,
some people were able to actually get the whole movie to play because they would back it up and then replay it, and it would actually play the whole movie. So maybe somebody got it then, and not only that, there's at least screener copies out there, or people have been able to access it because
screeners are watermarked.
Yeah,
yes,
they
that
would
generally
track
is the case. But with this being on HBO Max, I'm curious. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that screeners are watermarked.
And you don't think they can't cover up watermark?
Yes, you can cover up a watermark, but you can't cover up a watermark without you seeing there's a covered up watermark.
There'd be a big blurry blob, like at the bottom of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, no,
On this thing
wasn't
here
this
has
wasn't a
no
streamer. This was
watermark.
internal.
This is a perfect mint copy.
You guys do
the
realize
kind
it
of thing
comes
you're
out
not
in like
supposed
less
to
than
realize
12
before
hours, right?
after it's out.
Yeah.
Well, it comes out in like 12 hours, right? You do realize.
Yeah,
I do realize
Okay.
that, and still, it doesn't matter if it comes out in 12 hours or if it comes out in 12 weeks. Point is that we right now have a mint copy that is not the screener that is out there, and I do believe that that can only happen because someone internally has leaked it.
So what is the reaction to it? To those who have seen it on the illegal stream, are people liking it or are they disappointed? I mean,
Well, actually, we don't even need to rely on the reactions from the stream, because that's just like a side thing. The real thing here is that the reactions are already out there. The movie already has its pleasantly positive score at Rotten Tomatoes. And we had like the embargo for social media reactions dropped like 2 days ago.
Okay.
So we already know the reactions, and the reactions are on the whole positive. And even those who don't like it say that it's better than the Whedon cut. There's even the most critical, those that hated it the most, people like Rob, asking the question, what's this going to fix? Like, their mindset is that, yeah, it's as bad as that because I wasn't going to like it anyway. So this is worse because it's longer. There's more of it. And like, that's kind of like an opinion that you can't discount. If anything, the reaction, I would say, has been overwhelmingly positive. And so what I want to ask you, Kamran, is that outside of Disney, you have like this kind of civil war in Warner as well, between the AT&T people who facilitated the Snyder Cut to begin with, against the will of the Warner people who have been trying to sabotage the whole thing. In my estimation, they've done that because if that comes out and it proves to be successful, then it's going to reveal their own mismanagement in having facilitated the Whedon cut in the first place, instead of just dropping the Snyder cut, because now we can see from the reactions they would have been better off releasing the Snyder cut in the first place. What do you think AT&T are likely to do with such dissidence within their own ranks, as we have seen what I think are fairly obvious examples of in Warner?
Well, you know, AT&T already has enemies inside of Warner because when they came in, they started cleaning people out. And so people lost their friends. Everyone was afraid for their jobs, right? Those that survived there knows they are now owned essentially by a telephone company, right? Which just sees them as a bottom line rather than whatever vested identity Warner Brothers had. And so on that level, there's always going to be resistance when sort of this external corporation takes over. I do agree with you that the release, the Snyder Cut thing, shook up a lot of people inside of Warner's and the old administrations who are still there, who had vested themselves, their egos, in whatever narrative had been wrapped around Mr. Snyder and his removal. And because they've been taking a lot of crap because people have largely not liked the DC films, and so they've been very defensive about it, that we managed it as best as we could. And look at Wonder Woman, it was great, and the Wonder Woman 2 is terrible. We don't want to talk about it. So yeah, it is for me. If it's a pristine cut that isn't like, something that is clearly from some editor's bin that's still being worked on, or watermarked copy, then this is an internal leak from within Warner Brothers, and it's only a very small group of people have access to that data, right? So if I were AT&T, again, it's all about, if I were playing this Game of Thrones, if I were AT&T, to me, this would be a shot across the bow, much like that article in Forbes is, and I would be doing an internal investigation to remove the leak, because they've spent a year building up expectation for that. So a leak like that, you would think they had that hammered down to prevent it from happening, and the fact that it did happen is something they need to clean up. If they have somebody there that may have thought they were sabotaging it, and ultimately haven't sabotaged it, but the very fact that we have a saboteur inside the system is something they have to identify. And I'm sure, I mean, at this level of the game, I've worked on TV shows where there have been people that have tried to sabotage the TV show by leaking scripts out. And then what the studio does, in that case, it was Warner Brothers, the studio will hire like top-notch private investigators to actually find out who did it. And that's on the level of a simple TV show for the CW, right? So imagine this is a global phenomenon. They're going to find out who did this, and they're going to clean out heads. So whatever the plan was, it didn't work.
I just have to say, I found a version of it.
Okay.
And it is a pristine cut, no watermark. However, it is in 4:3. It's not in the 16:9 widescreen.
And we already knew that.
That's how it's supposed to be. That's how it is. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's news to me. It shows you how closely I follow that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It means you haven't been paying attention for like the last 5 shows. But yeah.
Hey, Tom, it's not like I have been.
Tom is using search.
Tom is grumpy mood today. Tom is in grouchy mood more than normal.
I am a very grouchy mood.
Hey,
today.
Tom, it's not like I haven't been obsessed with Resident Alien Wednesdays at 10 on Sci-Fi. I mean, it's not like I'm not preoccupied with that.
Well, I love Mila Jovovich. I love Mila Jovovich, and I'm actually going, now the theaters are open in LA. Her new sci-fi movie thing where, Monster Hunter, whatever it is, right? It's playing at Universal City Walk at AMC. So I'm driving all the way to Burbank with a friend on Friday to see Mila Jovovich in this dumb movie.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I'd make that trip too.
Yeah. And then, Kamran, before you go, we have a couple of super chats, which are for you. The Hijabi Gamer says for $5, what, Kamran? Not good enough for you? Smiley. The hijab could be hiding Angelina Jolie's sexy looks. Not saying it isn't. Not saying it is.
Well, whoever you are, Hijabi Gamer, salam alaikum, peace be upon you. I hope you're Angelina Jolie in a hijab. I'll take it.
Yeah, you should check out her channel, the Hijabi Gamer. And Greg Marquez says for $10, Kamran, do you think that even some of the money people at Disney feel pressure to be on the right side of history and somewhat ignore profit to get praise?
The thing is, the money people, at least the accountants, their job is, the accountants in Hollywood are ruthless. Their job, they're like paid assassins, right? I mean, their job is to make money for the company, and they will put the company in legal trouble to cover up profit, which is what happened on Lord of the Rings, where New Line Cinema pretended that Lord of the Rings made no profit at all in order to not give out a profit participation share to the director, Peter Jackson, who then sued them and got hundreds of millions of dollars that they were hiding. So the accountants, the money people, its entire job is to be ruthlessly honest and ruthlessly corrupt in hiding the truth from people they don't want to give money to. So they know the truth of the situation, and they're not paid to be woke. They're not in the same cocktail parties, right? They're not paid to say the same stuff. They're paid to tell the truth to the people going to the cocktail parties who then have to cover it up. So yeah, that's the money people are not involved in that game. It doesn't mean that people are going to listen to them because other factors can, superimpose upon the money people's recommendation. But the money people's recommendation is always fire that person, cut costs. That's their recommendation always. And I'm sure the money people have been saying remove Miss Kennedy, not because they have anything against Miss Kennedy. It's simply they're looking at the numbers. And then Iger and Chapek and I'll be like, yeah, thank you for your recommendation. It's not so easily done. So thank you. So that's the situation.
And then Varmithrax Maru says, Kamran, it would be nice if you and Robert Meyer Burnett can be on another stream together. It would be great listening to the discussion and insights you both can bring.
Well, I've been on one stream with him. I find him delightful, and he's very honest, and he's a little bit of a unicorn. He's like sort of a Hollywood liberal that's very patient with conservatives, which I haven't really come across. So good. God bless him. I'd be happy to be on another stream with him.
Yeah, indeed. And then let's see. I think there was another one for you here. BK0271 says, Kamran, with fans thinking about pirating Disney content as protest. Once one goes this route, it will overflow to other companies. How pissed are non-Disney companies with all this mess?
Well, I mean, this is the entire industry is simply a group of competing bad people, right? And that's all it is. And they're all just trying to elevate themselves. I don't support any kind of piracy. I work in the industry, right? And when you pirate stuff, you're stealing money from me because I got a check a few days ago for streaming residuals for what show I worked on. That helped me pay my rent. So when you are pirating, it destroys a lot of people's lives. So I will never support that. I think that unfortunately it is a continuing phenomenon where fans who are angry will use the excuse of pirating. But I personally think pirating is just bad moral character. It's theft, and so you're just using an excuse to do something you wanted to do anyway, and you shouldn't be doing it. And whatever the excuse is that I'm angry at Disney, I'm angry at Warner Brothers, that's about something else. Well, I'm angry at the bank, so I'm going to go rob a bank. To me, that's just wrong.
Yeah. Indeed. So the words of wisdom right there. And I believe that you had another appointment at around.
Yeah, I do. I need to start
time.
writing down. Is there any last thing we can say? Or anything that the chat or somebody saw something that wasn't one of the highlighted chats that needs to be addressed?
I think I saw another comment here. I'm just looking for it again. Someone, I believe, just give me 1 second here. I think there was one that was for you. Where can it be? Just give me. Oh yeah, and Pablo Papano says, but Kamran, the mid-level decisions are made based on KK's orders. I don't think a mid-level person would want to be on the hook for affecting cash.
A mid-level person doesn't want to be the hook of Kathleen Kennedy's wrath. She's the head of a division, right? She's already publicly, she's created a narrative that Disney has been trapped into. That Gina Carano is an anti-Semite, which is the trigger word in Hollywood, right? And that is a narrative that unless someone tells them stop, Gina Carano is protected, they will act on an automatic program, which is to remove her, right? That's an automatic program in the industry when you've been labeled that. And so unless they got a call from higher above than they're going to act on the program. And I'm sure, I could be wrong, but I'm sure that Mr. Chapek didn't know that this episode, it's too small a thing for him to know about that an episode was being pulled. But I'm sure when he heard about it, he's like, oh, damn it, right? This just adds fuel to it, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm inclined to believe as well. And then I'm a unicorn says, why don't these companies realize that following the woke agenda is very bad for the bottom line? I was under the impression that greed was number one for them.
Because no one in the industry is looking at the bottom line of the company. They're looking at the bottom line of their own career. That's it. Everyone is there because, especially within the studio system, executives are only there for a few years. Someone like Iger at the very top will be there for a decade or whatever, right? But most people are just trying to survive for a quarter, for a year and a half. And then and the only way they survive that, because even if they do nothing wrong, they'll be pushed out as some new person in the division comes in and puts their friend in their job. So even if you've done everything perfectly right and been completely competent, you're going to be removed anyway. That's just coming because that's the game. And so what you have to do is preserve your friendships so that the moment you are inevitably removed, you have a new job to land on. So the last thing you can do is create enemies at your level of cocktail party, whatever level that is, right? And so no one is looking at the profit except the accountants, and their job is, to just report information, right? To say this is what it is. You do whatever you want with it, boss. And so that's a situation. Is no one's trying to make a profit here. And that's what the Forbes article is bringing attention to the investors for, that the system is being run in a way that will not be profitable to you. And that as a result, that will create pressure to remove the blocks to profit. But it can't be done internally. It has to be done externally, because no one is in any position to push for anything more than surviving another day in the town for themselves.
Exactly. There you have it. And with that, I do believe that we caught up with the questions. Yeah. For you, Michael Miller says that one of his super chats was for Kamran. I see in the private chat here. Well, if you mean the super chat about, oh yeah, here we go. Michael Miller says, Kamran, do you think she's gone before her contract expires?
I think the current events are leading to that. I think the Forbes article is a catalyst for that. I've said that she would be gone before her contract expired when the events of Carano happened, because she created a black swan situation. Had she just quietly writ it out, she would have ended her contract on time and been given a lush production deal and much praise, right? And she may still get all of those things, but I think those things are going to come faster now. I think this Forbes article is a shot across the bow to facilitate that. You're essentially trying to move a massive, it's like an Air Force carrier, going through the ocean. It takes time and energy and effort to make it turn to a new direction, right? And so that's what they're doing. This is a shot across the bow. It's a torpedo essentially that's forcing them to shift course. And that's why I believe it was a planned torpedo, and it was planned internally to force events that everyone knows has to happen, but no one has the individual will to make happen.
And then Mephisto Sarse says that his super chat could be directed at Kamran, so I have to find that, and that's the final one. But because then I know I do
have to head out in a minute, so
Mephisto Sarse, he said, "You are forgetting one thing. KK knows too much from her career. She's got more dirt on people than a slurry pit. She's not going anywhere quietly."
Correct. That's why it has to be done this way. That's why it has to be done to the point where Chapek says, look, you can release the tapes you got on Iger and stuff like that. I can't stop you, but why don't we just resolve this quietly, because now the investors are involved. So let's just do this quietly in a way that preserves everybody's dignity, because we don't want to have like private information leaked and blackmail and stuff like that when the investors are involved. When it's just a Hollywood cocktail crowd, we dance. But now we can't dance because, investors are involved. The SEC could get involved. That could be jail time for people. If let's just get away from all the blackmail game. I'm sure that's the conversation that's happening privately, and the Forbes article provides the weaponry to do that. And my good friend Paulie enters just as I'm about to leave.
I know. I wanted to make sure I said hi to you.
Well, Paulie's wonderful. He's one of the few people, in fact, I think the only one from YouTube that I've met in person here, because he very graciously invited me to his home in Los Angeles, and I met his beautiful other half, and we had a lovely time in his home, and I thank you for that, and hope we can do it again.
Oh, yeah, we're doing it soon, man. Yeah, you met Romy.
Yeah.
And it was great, man. It's great. We'll do it. I'll hit you up soon. I think she's reading the script as we speak. So
God willing, I shared a script of mine that I hope she can get involved with. It's set in Moorish Spain, and Romy Diaz is a wonderful actress across the board, which is also a wonderful actress of Latin origin, who would be very helpful in that series. So hopefully it all comes together. So gentlemen, I do regrettably have to head out and take care of some things. So thank you again for your hospitality. Thank you, Tom, for your generosity. I know we don't always see things the same way, but you let me have my piece. So thank you for letting me share my perspectives. And hope to be on again, and hopefully my predictions will continue to come true.
Yeah, take care. I think they will. And Kamran, thanks for joining us today. It's always a delight to have you on. So I would say everyone check your channel out or follow you on Twitter, but instead everyone should check out your books. So I will put a link to your webpage in the description. There. Yes.
Great. All right, guys. Take care.
With that. Thanks for joining us.
With more exciting things. I think exciting things are about to happen at Disney. I really do.
Very cool. All right.
So, take care. God bless. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. So, Paulie, how's it going?
Excellent. Excited.
I say, hopefully you got some good news on who we got confirmed for tomorrow.
Yes,
Taylor
because to everyone that don't know, tomorrow we are hosting a charity reunion event for the cast of Blood In, Blood Out.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because some of the people are in the chat are seeing it for the first time. Like yesterday, I know I think Prince, someone went with the handle Prince something.
Prince Andrew?
Yeah, he loves it. It was his first time seeing it. I was like, cool, man. Okay, so the latest updates confirmed director Taylor Hackford. Of course, Robert Meyer Burnett's joining the panel. So it's me, Andre, Tom, Robert Meyer Burnett, and myself. I'll pop in and out. But we got the director confirmed, and looks like I just heard back this morning from the screenwriter, Jimmy Santiago Baca. And he's trying to come in, but he's very excited. And then there might be another actor surprise.
Yeah, but otherwise we also have confirmed already. Let me see here. The list was.
Yeah, you want me to read those off?
You can go ahead if you got it in front of you right now, because I was bringing it up otherwise.
Oh, I was going to bring it up.
I have here from before. Let's see where to go.
I mean, off the top of my head, we got Jeffrey Rivas.
Yes.
We got Victor Rivers, Valente Rodriguez, Kiki Castillo, Jesse Borrego plays one of the brothers.
Yep.
I think Benjamin Bratt. I think he's tentative, or he hasn't.
Yeah, we haven't. I don't think we've heard back for sure on that one, but
right.
That's a tentative one. But Taylor Hackford's a big deal, and we got to thank Robert for that.
Yeah.
So that'll be exciting.
Yeah, and there might be another actor surprise. So we're
waiting to hear on a few other things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it's awesome. It's awesome, And I just did a little 1 minute, plug on it and put it in Facebook and Twitter, all that good stuff. So yeah, I mean, it was pretty cool to get an email from one of my literary heroes this morning. I was like, hello, Mr. Baca.
That's pretty much 24 hours from now, I think, if I remember right.
No, actually, it's 23 hours, 45 minutes from now.
Right. 1 p.m. Pacific.
Yes.
Oh, 1 p.m. Pacific? Well, then it'll be like 26 hours.
26 hours, right.
26 hours.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yes, 26 hours. Oh, 25, 45.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yes.
So tomorrow afternoon, at that time.
Tomorrow afternoon.
So everyone that has not seen Blood In, Blood Out, you should absolutely find and check that movie out. And you can thank us afterwards.
May or may not be on YouTube.
It may or may not be on YouTube, but anyway, you should check it out whatever way you can, because it is a fantastic movie. So everyone, absolutely check that out.
But yeah, that's one of the questions I plan on asking, especially Taylor, is why is the movie not available?
I mean, it's a Disney film.
Yeah, I'm assuming it has some kind of legal wrangling behind it. So I'm curious to hear what's holding it back from a release. It'd be interesting to see.
I hope it's that, and not like, they think it's like a stereotype.
Yeah.
I think that'd be bullshit.
Yeah, that would be horrendous, because if anyone tries to say, oh, no, stereotypes against Latinos or something, then at least from my perspective, there's none of that. It's just as someone from outside looking in, to me, that looks like a very fair, very, very decent, very honest, brutal slice of reality.
It's a fantastic film. I mean, really is. So yeah, that's pretty exciting. Indeed. And any we're working on it right now. Any super chats, and this is a charity that we're doing. So the Latino Theater Company will be getting all the chat money. Mexican Iron Man's working fiercely to make that happen as far as, connecting it and all that good stuff. Yeah, that theater company is near and dear to a couple of the cast members.
Yeah, I think he just needs to get with Andre after the show so they can set that up. But
yeah, we'll sort that out. Out. Yeah.
So yeah, all good stuff.
Indeed. And with that, we have a backlog of super chats here that it's high time we try to get through. So, Paulie, unless you have something else on your radar.
This is really it. I mean, just everyone be there tomorrow afternoon, and let's have a great showing, and you guys can be in for a treat. These are amazing actors and the director, and that's it, man. I'll bid adieu. You guys get to it.
Oh, well. All right. Well, thanks for joining in, and look forward to seeing you again tomorrow for Blood In, Blood Out.
Yes,
the
I gotta
reunion
go.
panel.
Yeah.
All right. Take care, Paulie.
All right,
thank
Tom.
you so much.
You got it. Peace. Bye, Rob.
Yeah, we're
Later.
looking forward to that. That's going to be amazing. So hopefully you guys will join us for that.
And
quite a huge reunion. It sounds like it's going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be very cool. And then we have Durao On, who says for €5, Disney is making an example out of Gina Carano. Case in point, the canning of her episode from the Bear Grylls show. Love you, La Reina. Well, I will be sure that she to deliver that message to her.
Yeah, I think we brought that up earlier too, didn't we?
Yeah, maybe we did. No, that was another one.
Well, not that specific super chat, but that topic. I mean,
the topic we did bring up, but not that particular super chat. But yeah, the topic we covered. Smith Self says for $4.99, Disney has a plan. Wile E. Coyote had a plan. How'd things turn out for him? Yeah, that's like the thing. Disney had a plan, and Kathleen Kennedy subverted it. And that's the big deal here. Joe Pat 87 says, how much longer can all this deflection even work? Well, this article in Forbes is a sign that it may not work for very much longer. Servant of God 777 says, Disney is going to die at the rate they are going, and they can only really blame themselves. KK's agenda will go down as ending Disney. Yeah, well, we shall see about that. She's not the only one. There are plenty more vipers in that particular nest. Michael Miller said, News of the World was my third favorite movie of 2020. That's the one that Kamran Pasha recommended.
I don't know about the movie, but it's like one of my most favorite Queen albums.
Yeah, that too. Like, more things can be true at once. Yeah. Oliver Klosov has an idea. Is it possible that they will ask the government for a bailout for their incompetence? Oh, I assure you that they don't even have to ask. Yeah, that will have already been prearranged, and that bailout has already happened, courtesy of your tax dollars, as I see you're sending American dollars. Greg Marquez says for $5, what most in Hollywood have forgotten. I want to give you my money. Just don't lecture to me. Entertain me and make me think. Yeah, truer words were never spoken. And Sir Brastion says for £2 British, Shapex Script said praise KK plus Forbes equals setup. Yeah, I think there's some 4K chess being played right here, and Kamran Pasha is of that opinion too. So it'll be interesting to see how things develop from here on out. Lord Trinan says, Forbes has lowered the Death Star shield, and now the rebel fighters are in the superstructure, aiming for Emperor Bob and Darth Kennedy. Greg Marquez says for $10, thank you so much. As for Disney, as an owner, i.e. stockholder, of the company. I expect you to put out good product that people want to consume, like Disney of old. And yes, that's what I like here, like that the people actually paying for this have to start taking responsibility, and that's kind of what we may be seeing some things of. Deborah Young says for $10, Disney and Lucasfilm has been nothing but short of vicious to Gina. Not just canceling her, they are trying to bury her career completely, removing her from everything. Yeah, that's pretty nasty. And the humor hole says, how I feel about Star Wars. Tom, I need you to do your best Ivan Drago.
If it dies, it dies.
That's exactly right. And you didn't even see the super chat. You just knew. But that was exactly right. And Joe Pat 87 says, they're inevitably going to make KK a Disney legend. Well, they better do the same for Jim Cummings in that case. And Michael Millard says they need to reevaluate the Disney canon as a whole.
Are they still trying to cancel Jim Cummings, speaking of? I can't remember how that turned out.
Who is Jim Cummings? Remind me.
Voice actor.
Okay. What's he done? What has he done wrong, I should say?
Oh, his ex-wife was making a bunch of salacious claims on him with very little evidence. It sounded more like a nasty divorce kind of situation. And, of course, he had to defend himself. But, yeah, I mean, I have no idea where it went from there. I haven't heard anything since. So I don't know if it's just one of those things that's being held off because of current situation, that it was something that was supposed to go to court or what. But, yeah. I mean, they were pretty kind of meh.
Yeah. And then Granwasu42 sent a little doggy super sticker for €5. Thanks for that. And says for $4.99, we witnessed widespread harassment across the entertainment industry. Anyone who denies this is inherently unethical. And Charles Sullivan sent a $2 super chat with either no message or the message redacted by YouTube. But thank you for the support.
Brad DL gave us an update on Jim. He evidently won in court, so that's probably why we haven't heard much.
Oh, okay. That would explain it.
Yeah, probably got tossed out, is my guess.
Yeah, quite possibly. And Wesley Snipes, says for $5 Canadian, KK and her goons could learn the root of their problems stems from the perspective in which they view the world. What's your favorite cheese?
I like Asiago.
Tom,
wouldn't yours be Brie? Brie cheese?
I like people.
You like people cheese?
I like people cheese. No, if I have to pick one, it's usually mozzarella.
As for me, I think I'll go with cheddar. I've learned to appreciate that.
But I mean, if I have to eat it straight, probably Munster.
I mean, yeah, Munster is good.
Yeah, I mean, because it's reminiscent of Swiss, or not Swiss. God, I'm fucking tired.
Oh, if I have to eat it straight, then the answer is real Norwegian G35 goat cheese, which is not as bad as it sounds. It sounds kind of like fudge.
Well, most cheese in Europe is made from goat milk, isn't it? I mean,
no, not most. Only some.
Okay. Yeah, pecorino is good. Pecorino. Don't discount cheddar. A nice, good, sharp cheddar.
I actually like more mild cheddar, to be honest with you, but closer to a Colby would be even better.
Well, you're from Wisconsin too. So.
Yeah. I like my salty cheeses.
Like I said, Asiago I love.
That's why I like.
And moving on from all this cheesy talk, BK0271 says, I've been binging older shows, lots of badass women in them. Just makes the hypocrisy of woke idiots more prevalent. I'm desperate for a good TV series.
You know, one that actually pokes an eye in the entire idea of this whole, like, A, women have never been in powerful positions, and B, women have never been considered funny before. Mama's Family covers both sides. What can I say?
Yeah. Also, Rob, I believe there's like you recently discovered a series that
Yes, you did.
kind of like. This is like the time to plug
called.
it.
Yeah,
what's it
you know
called
what?
again?
I can't seem to remember the name of it. You know, it might be Resident Alien Wednesdays at 10 on Sci-Fi.
It was something like that.
Yeah, something to that end. Yeah.
I mean, it could possibly be Resident Alien Wednesdays on Sci-Fi.
Yeah.
At 10.
There you go. So do check that out.
Yeah, so make sure you check out Resident Alien Wednesdays at 10 on Sci-Fi.
And Rocky Desert Flower says, this is not just about Carano. The shareholder asked about a blacklist.
Which you noticed Bob Chapek just totally ignored too, by the way.
Yeah,
he didn't deny.
Favors. Yeah, that was like confirming without confirming, basically. It was what he did there.
Yeah, because you would think if somebody asked you if there's a blacklist, the first thing we'd say, what blacklist? Or, no, that's just ridiculous. Something to that effect. They wouldn't. His answer, although pre-programmed, obviously, was not set up for that response. Or for that question to that response to that question is what I mean to say.
And moving on from there, we have... let's just see, because here's some we have taken already. Trevor James sent us £5 with no message, so either none was sent or it was redacted, but thanks for the support in any event. El Punk Tres sent us a Devil's Super Sticker, and Trevor James sent us another British pound super chat, again with no message, so thanks again. And Navegando Lejano Oriente says for $10, thank you so much. How do you think today's cancel culture compared to the medieval power play by the church with their Spanish Inquisition? I know that you guys are going to have a field day with this. So Tom, like you answer that before we let Rob loose.
Oh, he already did the Spanish Inquisition one.
Yeah, no, but like your thoughts on it in general, without doing any.
What was the main part of the question?
The main part of the question was, how do you think today's cancel culture compares to the medieval power play by the church with their Spanish Inquisition?
Well, nobody expected the Spanish Inquisition.
That's right. And you're asking the guy who's had 2 hours of sleep. Oh, man. I got to remember what the whole Spanish Inquisition was about.
The Inquisition, let's begin. The Inquisition, look out, sin.
Okay, like from my recollection of it all, I mean, anything where you have a governing body of power, be it actually voted in or what have you, or in this case, perceived body of power with the Twitterati, making all these kind of blanket generalizations and accusations, and just the way it's done to kind of destroy someone's life. I'm sure it's very similar. Like there's a lot of parallel. Like that's one thing. I mean, I've always said where I just don't, even if Gina actually meant the Instagram post to mean what all the media and everybody else is claiming it meant without even asking her first. Because she didn't make any claims on that thing. She just posted it and people said that's what she meant, right? I mean, she's not wrong. And things like that, and comparing it to things like the Spanish Inquisition and comparing it to other, things like the earlier we talked about the whole communist thing in Hollywood. What was it called?
The Red Menace, the Red Scare, the Red Menace.
Yeah, whichever it was, where they were putting all those people on trial. And
the communist.
Yeah, whenever you have those kind of things happen, it's scary. And hopefully we're getting to the other side of this. I hope this article is more so a turning of a corner and not not going to get buried. Because, this is what I've been saying all this time. More people from the other side, more people who are not white men, white straight men, more or less, need to start speaking up more about it, or nothing's going to change.
Yeah, indeed. And as for the historical comparison, the power play to right now with the Spanish Inquisition, the two do not compare at all. I mean, the Spanish Inquisition is something that's thrown around very easily, with very few having a real understanding of what the Spanish Inquisition really was, what it started out for, and how it went a little bit too far. But there's a complex back history there, which means that most things don't really compare to the Spanish Inquisition, and not because they're like too horrific or anything like that. So that's, if anything, a worse comparison than to anything that happened during that strife in Germany in the 1940s. Not because of like it's more horrific or insensitive, but simply because it's not even apples to oranges. It's like it's apples to cars. It's completely wildly different. It's two things that simply cannot be compared. That comparison doesn't hold water at all, but it does compare to the Red Scare thing in the 50s and the Blacklist. Then that it does.
That's why I kind of brought that more up because from my recollection, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't there like a motivation behind the Spanish Inquisition to?
Oh, there absolutely was, because when that happened. The Spanish had just reconquered their own lands after 800 years of being occupied by an invading foreign force, which is why it doesn't compare at all.
No, and that's where I was saying, like, the only thing I could think of was like just the whole point of because wasn't something with the church involved there, and that's kind of where it was like, the governing power or a group of people. Because other than that, I was trying to draw comparisons, but that's where I jumped quickly to the other stuff. Because
exactly, like your Mech 1164 says, it's the Salem witch
more like the Salem.
Better. I mean, the Spanish Inquisition was in many ways. I'm not saying it was towards the end, but the intent at the beginning, you could make an argument why it was justified. You could do that. On that note, Diego Flores says, also many forget that the Spanish Inquisition was not as brutal as described. The really brutal one was the Italian Inquisition in Italy. The Spanish asked for evidence and didn't believe all claims. Rob, Italian here. You must have some thoughts on this.
Hey, you got a pretty nice church you got here. It'd be a real shame if something happened to it. Know what I mean? I don't know. It's just I don't know. I know precious little about that era in history. The one thing though I do know is the Salem witch trials, which is another kind of Inquisition in America. There was a hugely sexual component to it, in that you would have these people. They would claim to be witch hunters. They would. It was also a big monetary, big money thing. A big scam. They would claim to be witch hunters, and they would go out. They find these girls. This girl's a witch. They would strip them naked and look for some sort of birthmark or mole. She has the mark of Satan upon her, and it's just, I mean, there's always ulterior motives to everything, whether it's power or some kind of, or something worse than that, like I said, I don't like, but the Italian Inquisition, like I got to read up on that. So I gotta make this. Someone said in the chat, I'm gonna make the church an offer you can't refuse. Yeah. So I don't know. So you're asking the wrong guy, A lot of times. A lot of people are agreeing with me. I'm like, really? You're agreeing with me? What happened? I'm like, that better call.
Better call Saul or something.
Yeah, no. I was about to say, better call hell. They're probably ice skating down there. Yeah.
And then sent us a diamond super sticker, and Prince Andrew says, Go Snoke, go broke. Take my money instead of Disney, Midnight's Edge. Oh, thank you. And thank you for the 15 Australian dollars. That is much appreciated. And the Big Red Bear says for 10 Canadian dollars, don't put out my fire. Forbes and the investors better stop wrecking my entertainment on this. Don't douse the fires. Let Star Wars die, please. Keep Kennedy around forever. We don't need no water. Tom, take it from here.
Let the motherfucker burn. Burn, motherfucker, burn.
Maybe we should do like a "We Didn't Start the Fire" song, like Billy Joel. Star Wars, Star Trek, Kathleen Kennedy.
I've thought of that before.
Yeah.
Maybe we could like work something out with the Bloodhound Gang. I haven't seen them do anything in the past 10 years.
I evidently have taken their place, according to one of the comments earlier I saw.
On Spider Unlimited,
honestly,
says,
they probably did heavily influence a lot of that track, to be honest. Yes.
Indeed. And Spider Unlimited says, is there really a difference between the Mafia and Disney at this point?
Next question. Next. We don't.
Yeah.
Next. Move on.
As you can hear, this one is hitting a little bit too close to home. So, yeah. And ST Red Wolf says, the Forbes article is still up on Forbes site. So it's just the tweet account that's pulled. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Because this is, as Kamran said, this is basically the author was basically told, here's a grenade, go drop it, and then run like hell.
Now it's got me thinking of Family Guy. Peter, there is no such thing as the Mafia. If you remember that one. And he's like, don't talk about the Mafia. And it's like,
didn't they steal that joke from The Simpsons?
Probably. Peter, there's no such thing as the Mafia. Next.
Wasn't that Fat Tony's whole thing all the time?
Yeah.
There is no such thing as the Mafia.
Exactly. How can you say that when the trucks have already arrived?
How could you say that? We are just simple businessmen trying to make it through in the world.
Yeah, excellent. There we go.
Yeah, the Mafia is better organized. That's right, Natalie.
Yeah, they are. You know what? Listen,
they at least are driven by money. It's like they're a for-profit corporation.
And you know they're crooks. That's the other thing. I mean, they don't make any bones about it. The whole thing, when something needs to be done, they get it done. That's, hey, it's nice restaurant. Yeah, you should have seen it before, but yeah, we took care of a few things. You know what I mean?
Indeed. Yeah.
Mafia has infrastructure.
You have certain labor problems. Don Corleone can make them go away.
I got insurance, and I got all kinds of good stuff. I got vacation time too coming. I guess
there was a bit one time on HBO that not necessarily the news. They had a bit like the army, grab all that you can grab. You know, find your future in the mob.
It's funny though. Tiny Tony just keeps insisting that he drives me to the airport. Rob got that
one. Hey, Louis the Lump, how you doing?
Leave the gun, take the cannolis, right?
Yeah, pay attention. You never know when you have to cook for 40 men.
And then, moving on from all the mafia talk, we have who says for $4.99. It doesn't matter if she stays or goes. What they may do is limit her influence, which would be worse than getting fired. No, I'm not so sure about that, but yeah, we'll see what happens. And then Trevor James sent another British pound with no message. So thanks again. And Revkor says for $5. McCarthyism doesn't work for comparison. People were not assaulted or killed for that. Very true. Revkor also says, when will Disney decide that whatever skeletons KK has is not worth this and fire her? Well, here's like the thing, though. The corporation is one thing, and the people in it is quite another. And if firing her is good for the corporation, but horrible for the individual making the decision, then it's better for that individual just to keep the situation going. That's like the thing, or be put in a position. This is what Kamran was talking about, or orchestrate a position where there's no other option and they have to work out some kind of deal. And that's where we may be headed with this article. And then action comes, says, for $5, is there any chance that KK could take the hint and get out on her own terms? She could nuke things, but the investors have the fans. They can rebuild. Tom, your thoughts on that? Is there any chance that KK can take the hint and just get out on her own terms?
I don't think she would. That's the thing. There's such cognitive dissonance involved with this that, first of all, if she was even as hands-on as a lot of people probably have already heard me say, I don't think she is. When these people are told, and by these people I mean the people in the Hollywood bubble and the people in the SJW bubble and all that kind of crap, when they're told they're wrong or they did something wrong, that's when they jump to the whole, well, it's because they're istophobes, that's why. You know, and as I know, we talked earlier, and I like to push and I like to challenge ideas, and I'm not doing it to be a dick or to be condescending, but I'm just doing it to put it out there. But no, I don't totally disagree with what Cameron said earlier. He's probably right on some of this stuff, but I just don't see how they would do it at the expense of making Bob Chapek look bad, unless this is Bob Iger doing it. Then that would make sense. But no, like she would never admit it. And not in a million years. So as far as she's concerned, yeah, she's too arrogant, like Bill Bloom said. It's partially arrogance, partially just cognitive dissonance, and just the idea that, you know, what she's trying to do is the right side of history kind of crap. If you listen to some of her interviews, it's pretty clear the kind of person she is and the kind of mentality she has, and that she would never get to that point. Rob,
you're muted.
Yeah, I was muted. Yes. I agree. I agree with
KK would ever. Yeah, do you think KK would ever realize she's done wrong and just kind of
no? She will go down with the ship. Phrasing. She will absolutely. She will never admit to any wrongdoing. She will never admit that she fucked up the franchise. She will never take on any sort of responsibility. She will be convinced that she is right. She will never once question any of her actions.
Yeah, and the fact that Chapek just kissed her ass through that whole fucking interview, I don't know. Or not interview, but well, I guess it kind of was, but
like,
you know what I mean.
I keep saying, like she tells Frank every evening, I'm not going down without a fight. So
thank God.
Yeah, indeed. Now, I don't think that that she's going to. She may go, but only if it looks like she's been massive success, and it looks like she's going to something better. That basically she's promoted to something even better. That's the only way I can possibly see that happening.
At her age, though, she's just going to be like Rob said this too before, is besides retiring, they'll give her a bunch of awards. They'll put her on a bunch of film panels and stuff, like the IF. What is it? The AF, whatever.
AFI, American Film Institute,
which I think she's already on. You know,
I was about to say IAFD, which is the Internet Adult Film Database, but no, like that's a totally different thing. So anyway, but I digress. Yeah, she'll expect to get her to get one more accolade, at least one or two more accolades before everything goes to pot, because that'll be the industry's way of defending her. One last time. Oh, we can't let you go out and disgrace KK. Here's a Lifetime Achievement Award for best, for outstanding work in the field of excellence. you know.
Indeed.
IAFP is better than Disney Plus.
Yeah. And moving on from there, HyperGyver2 says, "Hail Midnight's Edge and Kamran. I have some words of wisdom that have spoken to me quite a bit recently that is worth sharing, and I want to hear Andre say this." Oh, and then you guys can't see it, but here is a sentence in what looks to be either Icelandic or ancient Norse. The two are extremely similar. He wants to hear me say it. I'm going to give it a try. I should hear this, but because this is quite a bit waste from modern day Norwegian, but I'll try. Vars du bøl kent, kved du bølvi at og, gef at pinum fjandum frid. So no, that wasn't a call for Cthulhu. That's either Icelandic or ancient Norse. I think it's probably ancient Norse.
You mean you didn't push the button?
I want to see. Just give me 1 second. I'll find out what it means. I understand a bit of it. Vars du bøl kent. That means where you feel something. Bøl, I think, is evil or nastiness or something. Kvøði and pinum is pain. I'm going to Google this. Let's see.
Are you sure he's not talking about having an STD?
You can apply it to that, but just give me 1 second. It should be fairly fine here. Okay, I got it. Okay. It's from Ho. Yeah, it's ancient Norse, and it's from Håvamål, which is basically the Bible of the Vikings, for lack of better terms. And what it means is wherever you recognize evil, call it out as evil, and do not give your enemies any peace. Sounds like something that Conan the Barbarian would say in a very, very Viking.
It kind of does.
So, yes, wise words. I approve, and I hope I didn't butcher the pronouncement too badly. If I was Icelandic, I would have nailed it completely.
No, but you might have.
I don't think I was
the army
too far
of the
off,
dead.
though.
But you might have raised the army of the dead. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. I don't think I was too far off, though, because like modern day Norwegian and the ancient Norse, although the words are different, the phonetics and how the words are pronounced is mostly unchanged. So I don't think I was too far off. And then Servant of God 777 says, even if Disney looks bad here, they can only survive if they clean house rapidly. Otherwise, they're host in a bigger way. Indeed. And Rob Bass says, the Forbes article is not surprising. Gina Carano is not only a sweetheart, but she comes from money, and her family are not just going to let it go. Oh, absolutely. Like, Gina Carano is uncancelable in that way. So that is absolutely something to keep in mind.
To a point, but she seems like a very independent individual who doesn't seem to want to rely on others. And again, I still think that one article of pointing out her ties to money was more so an excuse to say, look, see, she's not really canceled, more so than anything. Because they really couldn't make anything.
I think that it was that she's look, she's a mobster.
Well, that's that too, but since they couldn't really, because remember they had like that line in there, like, well, you know, even though we can't say there's anything to come of this, it doesn't mean there's not. But again, I also think it had a double meaning, because a lot of other articles and things that people were saying online at the same time, oh, she canceled herself. Oh, that's not really cancel culture. You know, they kept trying to change the narrative. So it's like, you know, everybody's like, I don't understand why she's fine. She's not canceled. It's like, yeah, she's only fine because she made this move. And as this article points out, she's got family money. And that's why I think that that's part of the reason for it too. I could be wrong. You could be right 100%. I think it's a little of both, but yeah.
Yeah. Also, about me summoning like the great old ones earlier. Prince Andrew says, "Oh, very good, Andre. Applause. Studied Old English back in the day." Oh, thank you. See, I knew I didn't do too bad on it. So yeah, there's that. Rob, you have any thoughts on the topic at hand?
I had to get up and get something. What was the question?
The Forbes article is not pricing. Gina Carano is not only a sweetheart, but she comes from money, and her family are not just going to let it go.
Yeah, well, we've discussed that actually. First of all, like I said, this is a woman who is from a family where she could have done anything. She could have done anything. She could have been a lawyer. She could have been a doctor. She could have been a businesswoman. Whatever. She chose to go into the gym, train for 10, 12, 15, 14 hours a day, and then get punched in the face. Okay. That says something about her character, that she was willing to put in that kind of hard work. The other thing too is, like I said, she's from a wealthy family. The whole thing, trying to paint her as they were trying to discredit her. It's like she was from, she has an Italian last name and she's involved in casinos. Ooh, look out. I'm like, but if anything, what I've seen about her just tells me that if KK came up to her, "I'll ruin you," she would say, "No, you think I'm afraid of you? Really? Do you think I'm afraid of you? No." She'd probably tell Kathleen Kennedy to fuck off right to her face. So I've faced tougher competitors than you. So what are you and your bony little fingers going to do about it? Like I said, it's a woman who doesn't back down from a fight. And she's got one in her hands. And you know what? She's going to show you exactly what she's made of right here. A lot of cliches, but still.
Yeah, exactly. Again, they went up against someone who's not going to back down and who has the family fortune behind her to back her up.
More importantly, they went after someone who's not afraid of them. That's the thing. Someone who's not going to be cowed.
Exactly. So I think many things conspired there. And I think that with time, Kamran Pasha is going to be proven right. But we shall see. Then we have Okadus, who says, "What if this is not being done by Chapek, but instead by KK, so that she can take over all of Disney?" Yeah, that's not going to happen. Ain't no way. There's no universe where she will be in line to take over all of Disney. The shareholders, who actually have to approve of the CEO, won't stand for that. I mean, the people like George Lucas, like the widow of Steve Jobs, like the Rupert Murdoch and his family, like these are all huge shareholders in Disney, and none of them are going to stand for Kathleen Kennedy taking over as CEO of Disney. Not happening. ActionCom says for $10, "Isn't it weird how much optics plays a part these days? Be it running a company or a simple trial, people need to think of getting your message out, or else you're in for a world of pain." Yeah, that's how it is. And the Fessman93 says, "Happy St. Patrick's Day from Ireland." So yes, again, happy
from the
St. Patrick's
homeland.
Day. And I do believe it's pronounced, Mags clarified, I think it's pronounced slancha or something like that. It's the Gaelic word for cheers, but in any event, cheers, bottoms up. The Chris Cowley sent us a $1 super chat with no message attached, but thanks anyway. And Mephisto Sarse says, "You are forgetting one." Oh yeah, I think we got this one. Yes, we got this one. And then Giga Chad Actual says, for 200 Norwegian krona. So, countryman here. Kathleen won't go, because if they dare threaten her, she will ruin Iger and top brass in Disney, because she probably has some rancid blackmail info on them. Hollywood is a cesspool, but please feel free to change my mind. Well, we didn't go into your super chat specifically, but Kamran did address that before he left. And just to summarize that for anyone that joined later, with this Forbes article, they may have gotten the justification that now there's no other option. Now the shareholders are involved. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And then Admiral Awesome says for $2, really hope Disney goes under. Screw the mouse. And Powerhouse 420420 says, FYI, the Geode video reaction is unlisted. Yeah, but it's in the playlist, so just check out the Star Wars playlist and you'll find it right there. And Mycetus says for $5, isn't it weird how the last episode of Mando barely aired 3 months ago, yet Gina's been fired and moved on in the same short space of time? Yeah, I don't think anyone ever made a quicker comeback from being cancelled than her. Can you think of anyone? Tom?
Boy, that is a good question.
Not offhand. Because, I mean, most of them, even the ones that have been given their jobs back and all that kind of stuff, it usually takes a few months.
Sometimes a couple of years.
I mean, I think Gina was just fortunate that, she was right.
Well, the only person I can really think of has made a huge comeback, even bigger than this, is Robert Downey Jr. But he took
years.
It took years, but he did a lot of really bad. I mean, he did a lot of stuff that was personally self-destructive. That's the thing with the gun, with the drug use and the booze and being in court. But when he got a second chance, he made the most of it.
Into people's house and falling asleep in kids' beds.
Exactly. I mean, geez. But he, like I say, he actually, and let me tell you something. You want to see how appreciative Robert Downey Jr. is of his second chance? Go take a look at the video where he gave the kid who lost his arm a robotic arm that was 3D printed in character as Tony Stark. I dare you to say that you didn't get teary-eyed watching that. That was amazing. And the kid says, they said to the kid, do you know who this is? He goes, yep. Who? And the kid goes, Iron Man. He's like, yeah. He says, do you know his real name? Robert. He's like, nice. And it's like I said, it's those kind of moments. Listen, there's nothing we love more than a comeback story. And I think Gina Carano is going to have a pretty big one. And it's not going to be to the scale of Robert Downey Jr., but it's still going to be a comeback story.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. I can't think of anybody who made a comeback quicker. And it's her doing, though. That's the other thing. I mean, maybe the first time they tried canceling Mel Gibson or something like that, or when he tried canceling himself, I should say. Because I think he got away with it for like the first 2 times. It wasn't until like the time when he really, really let it rip that it was done and over with.
I'm not gonna go into it. Go watch the Mel Gibson apology from Family Guy.
Oh, the other one I could think of is Hugh Grant. He bounced back pretty damn quick.
Yeah, he leaned right into it too. That was
yeah.
I was like, yeah, you know what?
The whole I'm sorry, cute little English boy.
I'm sorry, you know what? I made a mess of things.
I'm a naughty boy.
I'm naughty. I'm very naughty. What can I tell you? I'm naughty. I'm sounding more like George Harrison now. I'm very naughty. Yeah. So.
Yeah, Winona Ryder never really got canceled.
She did try to cancel Primus, though, which was fun.
Did she?
Yeah, she did. She and her boyfriend, back in the 90s, when Les Claypool and Primus had a hit song that she and her boyfriend had signed.
Oh,
thought
yeah,
was very offensive.
Winona's Brown Beaver.
Yep, exactly.
Forgot all about it.
Yeah, well, happy to bring those memories back again.
Margaret Ray, back in the day, Margaret Ray, the actress, she used to do a series of commercials for a denture product. She'd say, "Hi, I'm Martha Ray or Margaret Ray? Martha Ray." She said, "Hi, I'm Martha Ray, the big mouth." And, and hi, denture wearer. And, and Letterman made a joke about her, and she sued Letterman for saying Martha Ray, denture wearer, condom user. That was the joke. And everybody was just like, would you like it? Lighten the fuck up, please. So, yeah, this kind of stuff goes back quite a while. A lot of people have forgotten about that. I haven't, because it's Letterman. Letterman was a freaking genius.
Letterman's been canceled like a million times.
Letterman, yeah.
Eddie Murphy made a pretty quick bounce back too after the whole picking up a trans hooker deal.
That's right, didn't you, Ed?
Yeah, that's true. Everyone forgot about that.
Well, and I think because people believed his story, because there's been other stories that kind of came out afterwards that kind of supported it. And I don't really think he did anything or had any. Because if you know anything about Eddie Murphy, he's like real OCD about weird shit. So yeah, I don't know. I think his story was real. He could have been lying, but nah, I don't know.
I mean, there's a difference between being canceled and being involved in a scandal, though. That's the thing.
To a point, yeah. Like that's the thing that's kind of different here. I mean, you could look at it the same way because usually these scandals lead to being canceled in some way. At least that's the way it used to be. Nowadays, you're right, Rob. It's manufactured by these outside forces.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be based on your actions, not on your words. I mean, if we want to go back far enough, Fatty Arbuckle. I mean, there was like
that was probably one of the originals.
The original ones, yeah. A young girl ended up dead, and Fatty Arbuckle lost his career. And, and he was involved in that, and probably rightfully so. But at the same time, it wasn't over anything. Yeah, George Michael was another one. But again, that was a scandal. That was like a scandal. He was caught doing a lewd thing in an airport.
Michael Jackson, of course.
Michael Jackson, yeah. And there was, yeah.
I mean, if you want to go similar, probably would be like, when what's his face who played Kramer,
Michael Richards,
went and spouted all the N-word and stuff.
Yeah,
like
that. He's still canceled.
Oh yeah,
he's probably one of the originals. Canceled. Like, yeah. I remember they did that to what's his face too for a while. I just forgot his name. Sidney Boinstein. Help me out here, Rob.
Gilbert Gottfried, yeah, because he had said some stupid shit.
I
don't want to say Louis C.K. was canceled because
Louis kind of was, yeah.
He kind of was.
Louis Anderson. Mm-hmm. Louis Anderson was another one for a while, yeah. Because somebody made some accusations against him.
Yeah, but like I said, you had to actually do something that was harmful to someone else, not just say I said the wrong thing. I said something that was taken out of context. Yeah, Paul Rubens. Yeah, Pee Wee Herman. We said it. Buddy of mine who used to any good jokes lately? Buddy of mine used to run a T-shirt company when he was living in Austin. No, he was living in San Diego. On the front, it had a picture of Pee Wee Herman as Paul Rubens is Pee Wee Herman. Pee Wee when he plays with his friends. On the back, it had his mugshot. Pee Wee when he plays with himself.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I wish I had one of those shirts.
I think he'd even get a kick out of that, especially now.
He got caught doing something in a adult theater that people just do in an adult theater.
That's what I love when Bill Burr said that. What did they do? Get offended because he was jerking off just like they were? It's fucking Pee Wee. They still canceled him.
Yeah, no, I think what they said was that he got caught jacking up in the place you're supposed to jack off.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. He got caught jerking off in the place you're supposed to be jerking off. That's what he said. Yeah.
I always tell people, it says, just be thankful you have all the adult material you want just piped directly into your home via the internet. Because back in the day, they just said, you'd be sitting in front of someone like Pee Wee Herman.
Well, and it didn't help that he was in his getup for Buffy, so he looked all scraggly and shit. So his hair was long and he had the beard and shit. And he was visiting his parents at the time, which made it even worse. And I think Bill was right in that. And, you know, I've said that too. The cops, they knew who he was and they were looking for a score. They'd been busting that theater a few times a week or whatever. And yeah, it was just he got caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. So, like, to me, it was one of the worst cancelings in history of entertainment. It was just like so dumb. I don't know. Anyway, looking back on it with context, exactly, context is king. Because there were so many lies that came out about that. And the media didn't even hardly try to stop the lies from permeating. I mean, I remember hearing all kinds of crazy shit. I'm not even going to repeat some of the shit that was being said at that time. That was like, no, that's not what happened. You know, like, geez.
Indeed, yeah. Narratives can change and get distorted. But
yes, how many super chats we got? Yes, let's get through them.
Yeah, we have a few left. Primarch Vulcan says, oh, here's a good one. Have those that have seen the Snyder Cut already indicated if the aspect ratio was fixed from what was in the trailers? Well, Tom, do you want to handle this one?
Hate to break it to you, but that is the aspect ratio. That's the chosen aspect ratio by Zack Snyder.
For the entire movie.
For the entire film.
Yeah.
Do you think it's going to be like 16:9 when the super ultra 4K mega deluxe edition comes out?
No.
No? Okay.
If they were going to do a 16:9 version, it was going to be for HBO Max.
Yeah.
Exactly. They compromised is what happened probably. He got his black and white version and got his aspect ratio, but they got a color version of it. So that's pretty much what I think happened.
I wonder why he would want a black and white version. I never quite understood that. Like, yeah, why? Like, my vision requires like the IMAX ratio and black and white, so it can look just like the movies of the 30s.
To be clear, it's not even IMAX ratio. That's more what it is, Andre. I think he's trying to make it more look like a film noir. Like from the 30s.
Yeah, as I said, like it looks like the movies from the 30s and 40s, because that's kind of like what he seems to be going for. And of course, I can see their point of view, because like if he had done it in black and white, it wouldn't have cost nearly as much to finish the movie up without the color timing.
That could be another reason why he decided to do it in black and white. He's too many arguments over the color timing. It's like, fuck it, I'll just do it in black and white. We'll do it in black and white.
Zach, there's too much brown in the movie. There's too much brown. You gotta add some color.
There's tan, and there's brown, and there's black. Okay, look, what am I supposed to do?
I'm seeing brown, more brown, and brown.
Look, and again, I want to say this, and I'm not trying to be condescending or unhopeful or anything like that. I'm sure the Snyder Cut is going to be just fine and fun and epic and all these things. But let's just imagine for a moment, had that movie as is, even if it was cut down to 2.5, 3 hours, in Zack Snyder's version still came out back then, I really am not so sure that it would have been as popular. But I'll wait till I see it, maybe tonight or tomorrow. I'm not so sure when I'm going to get a chance to watch it. We've got other things to deal with first.
So. Zach, baby, we love
I think that you're probably right. That the reason it has this mythical status is because of everything that happened to it, and we got what, by all accounts, was a vastly inferior movie in theaters. And then time has gone, and a legend has happened. That's
Zach, baby. Zach, baby, we love you. We really do. But what's wrong with a little blue, maybe a little green?
We're doing it black and white.
All right, Zach, whatever you want, baby.
Well, and that's kind of been the trend too. Like Mangold did Logan in black and white. Miller did Furiosa in black and white. What the hell the name of the movie was? Fury Road.
Isn't that's really that's black and white?
He did a version of it in black and white.
There's a black and white version of it. That I
and which some people would go
watching because I love the colors in it.
Right, yeah. Like I'm not a fan of that usually, and most people would just be like, "Well, why can't I just turn the colors off on my TV?" I mean, I understand the reason for having it because it is a different kind of, timing, and it's not the same as you would have just turning your picture to black and white. I don't know. For some things, I can understand it. For others, I just don't. For something like Mank, okay, that movie got nominated for a bunch of Oscars, and it'll probably win a bunch of Oscars because in a year where nothing came out, it was one of the better films, I guess. Honestly, I say RKO 281 was a better film, but I digress. The fact that it was in black and white, perfectly fine for the film, set the period, set the tone. What I didn't like, though, was the fact that the sound, they made it sound like you were watching a movie in a theater through the whole thing, and that thing is up for sound. Like, that was annoying as piss through the whole movie. It was like I accidentally had my stereo switched to the hall setting through the whole movie, if you know what I'm getting at. Like, because everything just sounds echoey through the whole entire thing.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
I haven't seen myself, and I am no
the
rush to do so.
The movie's okay.
That's hardly a ringing endorsement.
Well, here's the problem: is it depends on what you believe. That's the biggest problem, because this movie is showing from the idea that basically Orson Welles had very little to nothing to do with the creation of the story of Citizen Kane, and it's all Mankiewicz. As to where RKO 281, I think, shows a little bit more accurate what really happened. Because there is evidence to prove that Orson Welles had a lot of influence on the script writing process, and he changed a lot of shit during production. So, again, I digress. The better of the films, in my opinion, about the making of the movie, because they don't even show you anything about the making of the movie. Most of the movie is what's-his-face playing Mank laying in a bed through the whole movie. It's kind of fucking boring. And it's told in a lot of flashbacks and shit.
So it's essentially The English Patient.
Not as bad, but yeah, kind of, sort of.
English Patient Hollywood edition. Yeah, that sounds about right. Moving on from there, Edgy number 1 says, buy 1 share in Disney. It gives the right to interrogate the company. You see it there. That's certainly it gives you the option.
If you have enough shares, or
Sorry,
I was just going to say, I know from how it works, from what Lorena was saying, you can get in on certain phone calls, but yeah, it's like almost like a chance thing.
Yeah,
but you get the opportunity, like Andre just said. Sorry.
Yeah, it gives you the opportunity. Otherwise, you have none. With that, you have a chance at least. And Oliver Klosov says, Gina Carano is a martyr. A martyr cannot be silenced. Very good point. And this is a very active martyr that
to
is
a point,
on crusades.
I don't want to. I would hate to consider her a martyr, like, because that's the thing. Doesn't a martyr have to basically die for the cause, though?
No, not necessarily. But,
I hope not, because I guess that's my understanding or interpretation of the term. But
it depends on exactly. Yeah, in the traditional definition, yeah.
Well,
but I think that in more modern definitions, you can still be alive and just be made invulnerable.
You made her the poster girl for you've given cancel culture a face. That's the thing.
Yeah,
and you've given Ben Shapiro the greatest gift he ever got.
Exactly, a gorgeous, well-spoken woman who is not afraid to back down from anybody,
and who's pushing the Daily Wire.
Yeah. Nicholas H. asks, is Sin City black and white? Actually, Sin City is probably the closest to pure black and white you can get, because everything's either black or white or red,
or yellow.
Or yellow.
The yellow
Yes.
bastard.
Yes. Yeah.
It's also a pretty decent movie.
Oh fuck! Even the sequel gets unfairly shit on, but yes, the first film is just amazeballs. Or gold. Yes, there is a little gold. Yeah. There's a few minor colors, we should say, here and there.
Yeah, still, that's a great freaking movie.
Absolutely.
To think that that freaking Weinstein prevented him from doing so many other cool movies.
Have you ever seen the version where it takes all the stories, splits them up, and adds scenes to them, and presents them as separate stories?
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, okay. I was curious. I was hoping they would do that with the second one, but of course, no interest, obviously. So
Yeah. No, that was I actually prefer those individual stories.
Me too.
Yeah. Absolutely. Just like the Hateful Eight, when they did the same thing there, the end result was better. And same thing with Sin City.
If you've not seen Hateful Eight, don't even see the cut version. Fuck that version. This is one of those versions where we talk about where the extended cut is the definitive version.
Yes.
The Hateful, oh my God. Because I remember the night I watched that, I was just telling Andre, I'm like, oh my God, how did I not watch this for so long? It was like a totally different movie almost in some respects. I mean, it's still the same movie, but I mean, it's just so much more to it.
It's the same story, but the execution is radically different.
Yeah, it looks, of course, it looks beautiful because it's shot on film, and I love it's one of Tarantino's best. I mean, you can't beat it. And of course, it's one of our favorite little things to jump to, of course, too.
Yeah.
I fucking knew it!
That one, yeah.
Yeah. Anything with Walton Goggins, automatically, it's like 5% better just from his presence. And when he's like one of the leads, then how can you go wrong?
Which is cool about that movie, because at first you don't realize he's going to be one of the main leads. I mean, you know he's in it, but then like the way it switches throughout, it's really cool, because you're like, oh, Kurt Russell's obviously the star. So, you know, it's kind of cool. Not to ruin too much of the film, because I don't even think Rob's ever seen it.
No, I have not.
See, you'd actually probably enjoy that one. That one's probably one you'd get into. It's a bit of a haul to get through, especially the extended cut, but once you get into it, you get into it. It's good.
Is there any karate in it?
He
has to think about it.
But it's still Quentin Tarantino, so it's got a great cast. There's a lot of gunfights,
and it has Walton Goggins, who was in Karate Kid Part 3.
Oh, okay.
And Samuel Jackson's in it, so of course you can't go wrong there. And Kurt Russell.
That's close, I guess, right?
And what's her face? Who's the chick in it?
I always forget her name.
One of the Breakfast Club. I can't think of her name.
Ali Sheedy, Molly Ringwald.
Was it Ali Sheedy?
Well, we have the internet, so we can't find these things out.
Imagine back in the day, we didn't have the internet. We had to rack our brains for like 10 or 15 minutes trying to...
Yeah, I remember those days. It was much easier doing trivia games back then.
Yeah.
Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Jennifer Jason Leigh. Never mind. Yeah, it was.
That's fast. Not Breakfast Club. Fast Time.
Fast Time. Yeah. I meant. Yeah.
I was like thinking. I don't remember her.
Yeah, I got her mixed up with. I got them mixed up, but I knew who I meant.
Yeah. As long as you know.
I did eventually. Bruce Dern's in it. Fucking. It's awesome.
You know, Andre, that's why Guinness publishes the Guinness Book of World Records to sell bar bets and trivia.
Huh, yeah. Well, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, of all justifications, then...
Yeah, Michael Madsen's in it, too.
Yeah. But moving on from there, because we still have a few super chats to go through. Darcy3RB3 Russ says for £5, Disney need to put the death ticks down, go home and rethink their lives. Yeah, someone probably needs to do that. And Dan Ranton says, Deep Space Nine was all about powerful women, and then no more. But I would say that DS9 was about quite a lot of things.
No, but that came in when we were making that comment. There's tons and tons and tons of examples from the past. I was just bringing up one. I mean, it's nothing new. There's been strong female characters throughout all kinds of television and movies that are overlooked constantly, especially ones like Lucy and several others. So, if it wasn't for Lucy, we wouldn't have Star Trek. And also then taking back to how Snyder wanted a black and white version of Justice League. Taker610 says, you can't say black and white listing anymore. It's racism. Just like master and slave in computers. Master bedroom, rolling blackouts, whiteout, etc. It's all racism. So, yeah. And then Diego Flores, he has a comment to you, Tom. It's so funny how Andre reads the super chat and says, Q Tom,
and Tom knows what to do perfectly almost instantly.
I like a trained puppy.
Yeah. And then Diego, he wants to return us to the mafia talk, because he says, returning to the mafia, what would happen
next,
Disney and was a Star Wars superfan, and he saw its current state? Do you think he would get things done? Rob, don't you have like any mobster family?
Next.
I
I'm going to say something controversial. I'm going to say something controversial that Rob should appreciate.
What?
This country ran a lot better when the mob had more control. Because you know what?
It did.
They fucking screwed the man all the time, and they gave to the little people. That's why. Sure, they did some horrendous shit. I'm not going to say they didn't.
Did you ever hear do you remember the Smithereens, Tom?
Yeah.
They actually had a song called Free John Gotti where they called him a modern day Robin Hood. So that's it's like I said.
I mean, you could make that argument. That's what I mean.
Well, you know what? Listen. What does it come down to really if you ever watched The Godfather? What is it really about? It's not a gangster movie or a gangsta movie, as the kids would say. It's about a family.
It's a family portrait.
It really is. It's a family portrait. It's about how two
generations and then
two generations exactly. They all took care of each other. Nobody. Nothing happens to Fredo while Mama's alive. That famous line. Fredo,
my boy.
Yeah, they massacred my boy.
I know what you mean.
I've been meaning to ask you about this. Is it true that Fredo to Italians is like the N-word to other Americans?
I don't know about it being the N-word, Rob, but I'll let you handle that.
Fredo is the guy you sort of like the screw up in the.
It's definitely a slur.
Yeah, it's a put down. I wouldn't call it a slur. It's a put down.
Yeah, put down it better.
Yeah. You figure out who's Fredo in the family.
It's like calling somebody a rat or
a rat or just I'm smart, Mikey. I'm smart.
I'm smart. I can do stuff.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the mob, believe it or not, it's all about the reason why they call it a crime family, because it's a family.
It all goes back to The Godfather. That's what I say.
And like I said, and there's the people you bring in, like I said, you take care of the people around you as if they're your family. The butcher down the street, the guy, the fish market guy. Hey, we'll take care of it. Don't worry. Yeah, you and me, you're my paisan, all right?
Well, let's be real. The mafia
guy was justified in being annoyed then.
Well, let's be real. The Italian and Irish mafia were basically born out of the same reason that, the inner city gangs and other things came about later on. And that was because they didn't have protection from the police at that time.
Yeah. So
they did their own protection. Exactly.
And they made a few bucks on the side.
Well, they had to live.
Yeah, exactly.
In most cases, though, my point was that a lot of times the people who were getting hurt were generally the corporate entities and not the little people. And the little people were generally benefiting from the protection and, the influx of money into the community. So
remember actually there was that scene in The Godfather at the beginnings. They talk about Don Corleone. We have a growth opportunity for you. He goes, I don't want any part of it. It's not the kind of business I run, But make sure, and later on, I don't want it sold near schools, and I don't want it sold to kids, Now,
Godfather 2 actually shows a lot of what happened, and that was that the mob got drove out of government, and then they got drove out of Vegas, and then
Joel Reese, Mob Lives Matter.
Well, it's a part of American history that's really overlooked.
Really. Listen, we went to Vegas. Andre, you went to Vegas, right?
Yeah, I've been to Vegas. I
even
sent you pictures of the Beatles collection from the hotel.
The whole city was built on mob money.
Yeah.
We asked one of the locals, like, how many skeletons are buried in the desert outside of here, and the answer was like a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
They were going to do the same thing in Cuba, in Havana, and then Castro came into power. That was the end of that.
Now, again, I don't condone any of the bad things that they did.
No, yeah, like so we don't condone it, but you got to admit though, I mean, they got stuff done.
It happened.
It
That's what you can say.
What can we tell you?
Condoning, but it's happened. It's a history. And,
but you know what? A lot of times, a lot of the violence was internal, though. So I mean, that was one of the things that, you know, at least a lot of times they had a lot of moral rules about taking things outside of quote unquote the family, or outside of, you know, no kids and no women, you know, that kind of, you know, there was generally those kind of rules that they really held standards to. And it was, you know, again, I'm not trying to condone any of the negative things, but I mean, I don't feel like movies like The Godfather should be overlooked. I think they really do portray that lifestyle, in even if it is a little bit rose tinted in some aspects, but it does really capture a lot of what a lot of people overlook about it. If you get what I'm saying, Rob.
I'm sure Rob does.
Oh yeah, I get it. Yeah. Sorry, I muted myself.
But again, let's move on from the mobster talk. I think that Diego got this.
See, I'm getting a call now. They don't like me talking about this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, stays within La Familia.
You're fired.
And then Mario Pilote, if that's how you pronounce it, he sent us 2 identical super chats for $2 Canadian each, so 4 in total. Thank you so much. Funny, I thought his name was Bob Paycheck.
Or Cheapskate.
Yeah, well, he's not a paycheck for the 30,000 people that were like let go or something, but yeah.
Hey, how come he's not accused of being a skinhead, but me and Az are? That's not fair.
Yeah, that's and you have that in common with him, so yeah. And Mike Stanmore says for $5 Australian, Chapek is on Bloomberg today talking about reopening. I suggest people go there and tell him how they feel. I did. Yeah, there you go. Share your feelings. And then STR Red Wolf says for $5, referring to me trying to read Norse earlier, and I think I did pretty okay. Andre would be able to talk to Cthulhu in their native tongue, given he survives the mind flaying and wanton destruction. He's fine. Well, thank you for the confidence. And Ram Bam 3000 says, if Disney really thinks that Gina is La Familia, why are they making them angry? I don't know, maybe they think themselves untouchable. Tom, your thoughts on that?
Nice. That was good. I don't know if I can top that. That's a good point. That's a very good point. Again, that's where I think that the article wasn't just so much as, oh, look, she may have these ties to people, you know, that are tied to casinos. And of course, she's Italian and all these other things that they were insinuating, which, of course, as we say, just shows how actual racist they are, as they keep proving time and time again. That is true. I do believe that is part of it. But I also believe a big part of it was to also help push that narrative that she's not, quote unquote, really canceled because she still has money no matter what. So I think that was kind of more what it was about.
Yeah, well, several things can be said at the same time. Yeah. And Rich Sutty says, Yaphet Kotto, 81, rest in peace. So it looks like we've lost Yaphet Kotto. That is a shame.
Oh, you didn't hear about that? Yeah, we that happened Monday night, sadly. Legend, acting legend. And we talked about that on Toxic Femme, and I think we brought it up last night too on Mead. But yeah, he will be missed. I mean, he's in everything from Bond to, gosh, we brought up all kinds of roles he's been in.
Kananga. He's played
Alien.
Probably one of the best Bond bad guys.
He's been in television a lot in the last few years.
Yeah,
he was the first black
and everything.
Bond bad guy. I think somebody said earlier.
One of the best Bond villains too. I mean, Kananga was really good.
Absolutely. Yeah, he was positively great.
He had great on-screen presence in that movie. Oh my god.
Yeah, we have to get back on that James Bond train so that you can check that out, Tom, as soon as.
I've been bugging R&B about that.
Yeah.
He even was in Freddy's Dead, as I brought up earlier too.
Yeah, he was good in that one as well. The movie itself was but he was really good in it. Yeah.
Sure, it shouldn't have been the sequel we should have got at that time, but hey. Yeah. They made it work that he had a daughter and it didn't really ruin his character. You know, that's one thing you can say about it. Any other time they do that shit in the 6th, 7th, 8th movie, it's like, come on now. I mean, it really.
Lisa Sane was really good in it too, I thought.
Yeah, she was. Yeah. And I mean, Rachel Talalay, a female director, and I think she even wrote it. So there you go. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it wasn't not as good as some of the other films, but it was a step up from part 5. I mean, to me personally, and I got to see it in the theater with the 3D ending and shit. So it was cool for me. I don't know. At that time, it was just, I don't know. And him being in it, was really cool, because I mean, he's a good part in it. Of course, he's a legend from Alien and stuff. And I didn't even have the Bond connection like Rob would have, but if there was that, would have even been better, I mean, it's just, it's just cool. He's a really great character. Running Man. Oh yeah. Another great part he was in. Yeah. I mean, he's been in so many great things. Midnight Run. He was on Homicide. Like I said earlier, he's in some TV and shit. I mean, he will be missed. He was a great actor. But we're Rosses, so we can't like him.
Indeed. So yeah, he will be missed. But the show must go on. And the next super chat is from Strike Slifer, who says, absolutely not. Star Wars must not die. The only way it can be saved is that if Kennedy goes, at this point, I don't care how, it just needs to happen. Yeah, that's would be a very, very good start. And Trenchman wonders, what will life be when everyone is cancelled? Well, to that I will say, if everyone is cancelled, everyone is equal. So, yeah.
Yeah, that was
before, I hope. Yeah, it all cancels out. Remember, like that episode with in South Park with Cartman when one kid had an accident and he had to prevent anyone being singled out. Yeah, never mind that. But
kind of, sorta.
Yeah, never mind that. Anyway,
I'm trying to remember which episode you're talking about because I know my South Park, but yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, maybe if you explained it a little better.
Yeah, the one
kind of got lost in translation.
The one where like one kid pooped himself and is about to kill himself, and the only way that everything can be fine again is if everyone does the same thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Well, that's like I said. Been saying like. I hate to bring it up, but when Bill Maher's right, he's right. Like he's brought up a few times now about, the whole world being childproof for one kid. It's the same thing. And he compares that to like cancel culture and things like that too at times. And it's true.
He also said, we are a silly people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Tiberius Monk said, name a scene you wish you could remove from a superhero film you otherwise enjoy. Also, do you recommend Godfather 3 Director's Cut? Hail Midnighters.
For the latter thing, yeah, sure. I mean, it's basically still the same movie. They just kind of cut it in a different order, cut a few things out, added a couple minutes here and there. It's just cut to be more like the first film, basically, in structure. It's a little bit easier watch, I guess, in the director's cut or whatever you want to call it now, but either version's fine. I mean, the thing with Godfather 3 is the movie itself isn't the problem. It's Francis Ford Coppola's daughter, and everybody knows it. So you can't fix the movie. It's unfixable.
Yeah, talk about someone being born on third base. Jeez.
It's not even so much her. It's just certain choices made in the film. Like, I don't know. There's enough in it that you didn't need to make certain things the way they were.
Yeah. There's As the second part of the question, I'm pretty sure Tom Yumi will agree on this. There's one scene I would cut out from a superhero movie would be the "Can you read my mind" scene in Superman.
Why?
Because it just kind of slows the whole film down to a crawl. It's
You are not romantic, are you?
It's very schmaltzy, you know. It's just.
He's not a romantic. See that? We just figured it out. If I was going to take any scene out of that movie, it sure as hell wouldn't be that one. It'd be the world going backwards, because that whole thing just totally fucks with everything. Even if you considered him going back in time. Yeah, I do mean the incest, Donkeysaurus Rex. I didn't want to say it. You didn't have to have it be that way. Just the fact that he's part of the quote unquote family is enough for him to go, now you cannot date my daughter because you are now part of the family. You know, it just, you didn't even need it. It was stupid. Anyway. Yeah, that whole bit. But yeah, no, superhero movie I'd take a scene out of.
Yeah, one that you otherwise enjoy, but that you would take one scene out of if you could.
You know what? I don't know if I would otherwise enjoy it, but it might improve the movie greatly in my eyes. And that would be if you take out most of the shit in Batman v Superman. No, like mainly just the whole maybe Lex Luthor's character. And the whole find a different way to include the death of Superman that wasn't so ham-fisted. I don't know. Because the Martha scene and all that stuff, the way that whole third act works out, yeah. I don't know. Outside of that, it's really tough. Because I don't know if there's any that would break the movie if it's just one scene. That's tough.
I got an idea for a new Bat-Tom animation, where it's to reenact that scene. Martha! Bat-Tom's like, why did you say that name?
Hey, my his name.
The last thing I saw was Fiddle Mouse.
They're dead. I don't know, Andre. Tell us what movie scene ruins an otherwise good movie in a superhero film? Because I can't really think of one.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think, and there is one that
outside of the girls assembled scene in the last Avengers movie. Maybe, I don't know. But that didn't really break the movie. That's the thing.
Well, I would actually okay. Thank you. That's exactly what I needed. Of things like, because the first thing that came to me is actually a scene in the 1996 movie The Phantom, where you have a researcher that looks down into a periscope. And as he does, knives come up of it and do something very, very nasty to his eyes. It is an exceedingly brutal and dark and relentless scene in an otherwise fun movie. So it completely wrecks the tone of the movie. The reason that I have to think a little bit is that that's the theatrical version, which I never ever will see again, because there's a vastly superior fan edit called The Phantom Strikes, and that is my preferred version of that movie. And there, that one scene has already been removed, along with others that only...
I got the answer. I got the definitive answer.
Yeah, I think that's the same one that I have, but carry on, Tom.
Oh, is it? Oh, well, then it's the fucking scene in Daredevil on the fucking in the playground. Get rid of that bastard.
Oh,
in both versions.
One bit, but,
oh yeah.
That is one of the most out of place scenes in both versions of that film.
That belongs like a Dirty Dancing or something.
Yeah, it feels way out of tone for the film. You know, just like 2 or 3 scenes earlier, you're in a bar with Daredevil damn near killing people, and he's like pulling some Batman shit. Like, that is a kick-ass scene. I don't care who the fuck you are. Where he comes in that bar and he's up on top of the fucking rafters there. Like, that is just a bitchin' ass scene. And then you go from that kind of shit to like fucking teeter-totter and shit. No. And some wire work that's clearly wire work. No. That I'd like to know who greenlit that scene, and that scene shouldn't be in either version. And what was your one then, Andre, if that wasn't it?
Yeah, I have to think a little bit more. Rob, what's yours?
Like I said, that one would be like I said, the "Can you read my mind" scene and from Superman.
I reject your hypothesis on that scene.
Yeah, well, it just comes across. I mean, yeah, it's like I said, it just slows me down. It just comes across as, I mean, it could have been done. Not so much remove the scene, it just needs to be reworked to a certain degree.
And we got a hit single out of it too, Rob. What's wrong?
Yeah. Does it have karate in it?
My mind.
Yeah. I'd see needing more karate.
Rob, of all the movies you could have picked, you picked that one. Really?
Thank you. I have my final answer for what scene I would remove. Not the whole scene, actually, just like one clip. And that is in Batman v Superman. And it's in the warehouse fight scene, which I think is absolutely freaking fantastic. But there's one thing in that scene that bothers me. So I don't want to remove the whole scene, but like this thing where he has like this huge crate behind him and he throws like the batarang or whatever, and then he throws the crate over him and in front of him on top of that guy. A crate doesn't move like that. That one little thing completely violated all physics. So I would snip out that one particular thing of the one scene.
A lot more in that scene that I would take out.
Yeah,
especially
like you don't like it to begin with. So that's so there's
well, I mean, come on, let's talk, and then they start pushing each other for one, and then Martha, come on, that could have been executed a lot better. Come on. And
I'm not denying that, but again, that's a structural thing with the whole movie. That's not like removing one scene is going to help anything, because that's a fundamental structural issue. Like removing it, plus you don't like the movie to begin with, which is very, very fair. But yeah.
And actually, I actually like BVS more than I did Man of Steel, which most people probably won't believe. And that's mainly just because of Ben Affleck as Batman. I mean, to me, he was just a great Batman, and I do like a lot of the Dark Knight stuff in there. And I mean, when I was in the theater, I genuinely got like all giddy and excited when that, the Batman shows up for the first time, and you get that perfect image from the comic, and the cop's like, "Oh, kid, you're about to see some shit," like I got like, "Ooh, here it comes. We're getting they're doing Dark Knight Returns. Holy shit," and then just whatever. But Ben Affleck was awesome in it, so I can't put that part down. But the rest of the movie, some of Superman scenes were better than Man of Steel. But I'm sorry, guys, I hated Man of Steel. As a Superman fan, it bothers me. I know that's sacrilege to some people, but
yeah, no, but that's fine. Like opinions vary. Like I like it myself, but I was never a Superman fan, so that's like the difference. And if I like it, who is not a traditional fan of Superman, and you don't, and you are, then the movie did something wrong.
Well, and to be clear, like my introduction to the badass Batman, like where I actually realized that, there's dark Batman out there, and not just Adam West Batman or Super Friends Batman, was getting the Dark Knight graphic novel from the library. And I'm like, holy shit. That's the first time I ever saw anything like that. I was just like totally blown away by it. So part of me was like totally in love with BVS, but then the movie just went south. So it was just like,
In terms of fixing, Super Chat we can bring up on screen. Troy Pacelli says, take out the spoken word by Margaret and replace with release version by Maureen McGovern, or just the instrumental would be fine. They're fixed.
Why?
So, yeah.
It's fine the way it is. I reject Rob's hypothesis on there, and I think we can all agree that the only movie, because the movie's fine without it in both versions, just remove that damn scene on the fucking playground. Stupid.
Yeah, indeed.
The rain scene's better anyway.
Yeah, where he uses his radar sense to see what she looks like.
Yeah, that's a cool scene.
That is actually cool.
And moving on from there, since we can bring it up on screen, the DCV Titan says, saw Monster Hunter. Nice sets, good costumes, good CGI creatures, Shit. Story, modern weapons worse than medieval ones, sets up sequels, which is ballsy. It thinks it merits one. You know what? I am in 100% agreement with this. I did see Monster Hunter, and this is spot on. It has really nice sets, has good costumes, has good CGI creatures, but the story is garbage. Absolute rubbish. Have you guys seen Monster Hunter yet?
No, I was going to see it, but then from some of the stuff I've heard that, yeah, like you just said. Sorry.
No,
Rob.
no, I have not. No, I have not.
Yeah. No reason to do it either, because again, story-wise, is so incredibly bad that it's not even funny. And then Warwolf 1 asks, which is better, Mafia or Yakuza?
Probably Mafia.
Rob, we know it. Like, you're muted, Rob, but we know your answer. So you
but
don't even have to say
Yakuza might have karate in it, so that's a good question.
Yeah, that's actually Next. Don't next. Move along. We don't talk about those things. We don't talk about those things. Come on, next.
And as for me, I have nothing to do with either, and then I don't care. So. and with that, we are actually fully caught up.
Awesome. With everything, you might want to refresh to make sure, but yeah,
I'm going to refresh to make sure. But I do believe that we are.
So I know you got a few that we could get on screen, so those I know we got.
Yeah, that was actually one. That was the Yakuza thing. Nope, we are fully caught up.
Oh wow. Awesome. All right. Was there anything else?
No, I take that back. We are not fully caught up. Because Matthew Sturgis just said for $14.99. Thank you so much. Man of Steel, BVS, both are trash. A shame we won't be getting more Big Trouble in Little Chinas.
I can't disagree with that statement.
Yeah, no, I was thinking that would be right up your alley. Actually, I also think it's a shame that we won't be getting more Big Trouble in Little Chinas. That
well,
would
are
be
they
very
still
nice
making that one rip-off, remake, rip-off, sequel, whatever the hell that with The Rock or something like that? Is that still happening? Anybody know?
I have no clue.
It was happening without Carpenter's blessing. I know
that. So that's like a pretty bad sign right there.
Well, yeah, especially considering he'll pretty much take a check for anything.
Exactly. Well, but there you have it. That's
it may be dead, but I know that was announced like last year sometime, wasn't it, Rob?
Yeah, it was. Oh god.
Right around the same time they announced the remake of Escape from New York.
Yeah.
Is it really Kurt Russell's birthday today? Oh wow, he's come up a lot today for good reason.
That's actually
that's why.
Kurt Russell's son is actually going to be John Walker in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Really?
I was going to say Falcon and the Snowman. That's another movie. It's another thing.
Interesting. Well, happy birthday to Kurt Russell. One of my favorite actors.
Yes, indeed. Happy birthday to Snake Plissken himself.
That's right.
And with that, then, we are fully caught up. So with that, all I can say is thanks for joining us today, everyone. It's been a great show. It was a pleasure to have Kamran Pasha here. We'll have some regular scripted content for you soon, and also be sure to check back tomorrow for it's in exactly 24 hours from now. In 24 hours, that's when we begin our epic Blood In, Blood Out reunion panel.
Yes,
that's gonna be brilliant. So
and everyone, I want to take a moment to thank Paulie for mainly putting a lot of that together, Mexican Iron Man for all his help behind the scenes, and of course Robert for all of the things he's done too for that as well. So yeah, hopefully you guys make it for that. It's going to be amazing. Sorry about that, Andre. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It needs to be said. They are the ones that have made this happen, which we are grateful for and looking forward to, because I'm a big fan of that movie. So everyone should go and check out Blood In, Blood Out, the movie, however you can find it, and then check out the roundtable that we will have with the cast and special guests tomorrow. So that's going to be a blast.
Absolutely. So, all right. Until then, I was going to play a few things, but we'll get out of here. We'll just get some koalas.
Yes.
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given. Koala, koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given.